Chapter 327. Outside Emperor Abyss City, there was dead silence. The powerful Nangong Powa actually didn't hesitate to burn his blood essence to escape from the battlefield. Nangong Powa couldn't even last half an hour against Yi Qinghan and suffered heavy injuries. Yi Qinghan's strength had already exceeded some people's imagination. Chicken frowned. With Yi Qinghan's current combat strength, it was no longer suitable for him to fight to the death in public. Once both sides were injured, it would be easy for others to take advantage of the situation. Powerhouses fighting for the Dao position were heartless. If they could prove their Dao thousands of years later, no one would care about what they had done. It was enough to know that they had proven their Dao and would protect the human race. Diwu Quangshan didn't move either. If he fought to the death at this time, it would only benefit others. The people from the Yin Yang family also fell silent. Yi Qinghan had returned. The three people from the Yin Yang family had died in vain. There was no need to talk about revenge. Without someone strong enough to suppress Yi Qinghan, they couldn't kill anyone from the Guangzhong sect. Shin Ke smiled. He was incomparably confident. He walked forward and said indifferently, "Brother Yi, I haven't seen you for a few years. I didn't expect you to catch up to me. How can I, a so-called monster who has cultivated for hundreds of years, endure this?" As the saying goes, one doesn't hit a smiling face. Yi Qinghan didn't know that Wang Lin, who had suffered heavy injuries from Li Jiuchong, was Shin Ke's follower. Seeing him take the initiative to greet him, Yi Qinghan nodded slightly and said, "Brother Shin, this isn't the time to be friendly. If you stand on the side of the hidden aristocratic families, we will have to fight sooner or later. But now, please step aside. I want to kill someone." Yi Qinghan's eyes swept across the crowd. He locked onto Zaiken's position and sneered, "Zaiken, you are disappointed. From this era onwards, there will be no more inheritances of martial arts. I really didn't expect you to be able to escape. It seems like the price you paid was not small. That zither immortal with the crimson demon physique is dead, right?" Zaiken replied indifferently. "Don't worry, she won't die. But I know you won't be able to escape today." Yi Qinghan closed in on Jiken step by step. The heavy berserk saber in his hand trembled violently as if he wanted to break free and kill his enemy on the spot. "Yi Qinghan, arrogance is one thing, but strength is another. Do you think you can defeat me just because you defeated Nangong Po? Although Nangong Po's original body is strong, it's not even half of his peak strength. As his senior brother, do you think I'm weaker than him?" Jiken moved his feet lazily. Suddenly his aura exploded. The golden dragon sword in his hand was connected to the origin of heaven and earth. Zaiken was ridiculously strong. This kind of fated enemy was not easy to kill, not to mention that there was a difference of 4 minor realms between them. Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes. With every step he took, his aura grew stronger. Yin Yang Maple and the others narrowed their eyes as they looked at the two of them. Both of them were top-tier existences, possessing the bearing of a monarch. They had the strength to compete for the Taoist position. Once the two of them were injured, they would kill the two contenders first. Gu Qingyu and Jian Shenxue pressed forward and stared at the group of hidden experts. Shen Ke and the others couldn't help but sneer. Although these two people were strong, they would be drowned by the group of hidden experts in an instant. They wouldn't even be able to escape. At this moment, Xia Ziluo and Chiqian Monkey King also pressed forward to prevent the hidden experts from suddenly attacking. Yang Zhan returned from the Dao Realm Holy Land and pressed forward. At this moment, killing intent was everywhere. It was possible for a chaotic battle to break out. Many people would die, and top-tier experts would fall. The Dao Realm Holy Land was weak, and the 10,000 races were not united. The Qilin Tiger clan of the 10,000 races actually joined the hidden experts. The Qilin Tiger clan couldn't wait for Yi Qinghan to fall. How could it help him? Long Qiong was silent for a moment. She chose to remain neutral and didn't attack. Shen Ke retreated into the distance and revealed a smile, waiting for an opportunity. Yi Feng of the hidden experts flashed and directly left the range of Emperor Abyss City. He didn't participate in the battle, and no one knew how strong he was. Yi Qinghan frowned. He saw that the hidden experts were ready to attack at any moment. He couldn't use his full strength to fight Yi Qinghan. If he didn't use his full strength, he wouldn't be able to severely injure Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was also on the defense. On one hand, he had to defend against Yi Qinghan, but he also had to be wary of the hidden experts. He wouldn't be stupid enough to leave his back to them. Moreover, once he and Yi Qinghan were both injured, he didn't believe that the Chitian Monkey King and the other super existences wouldn't kill him. Yi Qinghan, the battle between you and me shouldn't have happened here. If you're really confident, why don't we still fight in the Qinling Mountains? Yi Qinghan took the initiative to compromise. He didn't want to continue the fight. It's fine if you attack me, but if you kill Feng Wuxia, there will be no negotiation between us. There will only be war. Yi Qinghan didn't hesitate anymore. He slashed out with his saber, causing the earth to undulate. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan to be so powerful. He immediately attacked with his full strength. His sword transformed into thousands of golden dragons that swooped down on Yi Qinghan. Xiao, xiao, xiao. Every sword attack was aimed at Yi Qinghan's flaws. However, Yi Qinghan's speed and strength directly erased the flaws. The opponent's golden dragons of sword qi were instantly destroyed. The violent saber was unstoppable and directly attacked Yi Qinghan's body. He could only take it head-on. Yi Qinghan couldn't display his full strength. Yi Qinghan was furious. His sword was like a rainbow as he used the spatial laws. He instantly disappeared and reappeared in front of Yi Qinghan. Boom! The violent saber and the violent saber collided. The explosion was deafening. Smoke and dust filled the air. However, the heroes didn't panic. Their divine senses were locked onto the battle area. Violent saber style. It was the same sword attack, but Yi Qinghan's understanding of the violent saber was much higher than Yi Qinghan's. Adding on the explosive power of a large realm, he instantly suppressed Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was cold. He twisted his waist and pressed down on violent saber. It was as if a heavenly dragon had appeared. It was unstoppable and directly sent Yi Qinghan flying. Boom! Yi Qinghan fell into the distance and heavily smashed into the ground. Stone slabs flew everywhere and blood stained the place. Yin Yang Feng was shocked. He whispered, "How strong is this guy? He has cultivated the Azure Dragon body of my Azure Dragon clan." Long Qiong was shocked. Yi Qinghan's dragon blood was boiling at this moment. He was like a true dragon. The purity of his blood essence was almost on par with his own. He couldn't accept this. After all, Yi Qinghan was a human. I remember that this guy seems to have several types of origin Dao physiques. How did he create a special physique? Chitian Monkey King scratched his head. He couldn't understand. Boom! Just as everyone was discussing, Yi Qinghan kicked Yi Qinghan's chest and sent Yi Qinghan flying. However, the last attack directly pierced the saber into Yi Qinghan's leg bone. The two of them screamed. Yi Qinghan reached out and grabbed the violent saber. Blood flowed. The violent saber was attached with the aura of the Tao of Destruction. It actually prevented Yi Qinghan from healing his wound for the time being. Yi Qinghan threw the violent saber at Yi Qinghan's body. Then, he used the origin of metal to forcefully erase the Tao of Destruction. The origin of wood flowed through his leg bone. Black blood was forced out and the wound was slowly healing. Yi Qinghan was in a very sorry state. The violent saber was like a flash of lightning. He tried his best to mobilize his divine sense and control the saber with all his might. He put his palms together and caught the saber. However, the saber's impact instantly destroyed his body. It smashed his body to the ground. His immortal sect robe was violently shattered. This kick to the chest caused his blood to flow unsmoothly. He spat out a mouthful of blood essence. His face was pale. Kill! Yi Qinghan's wound was half healed. It didn't affect his movement. He burst out again and slashed at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was furious. Yi Qinghan had someone blocking the people from the hidden sects behind him. He didn't have that. He didn't want to fight to the death. He immediately turned around and ran. He activated the spatial laws to the extreme. The stars moved and he disappeared from everyone's sight in the blink of an eye. If this kind of super existence wanted to escape, No one could stop him unless they relied on the suppression of a great realm. Yi Qinghan could only watch as he disappeared from his sight. There was nothing he could do. Pumph! Yi Qinghan coldly snorted. He took out his divine bow and stood on the ground. His veins popped out. Dragon blood roared and dragon scales covered his body. He pulled the bowstring. The sound of the void being torn apart could be heard. Shio! The true essence arrow pierced through the void and shot towards the void. Boo! There was a rumbling sound. A mournful scream came from afar. It was obvious that Yi Qinghan had been severely injured. Yi Qinghan was unwilling to accept this. He angrily stared into the distance. With his current strength, he couldn't use the 9-star moon-chasing explosion technique. Otherwise, he could kill Yi Qinghan in one move. After defeating 2 great experts in a row, Yi Qinghan turned around and glared at the experts from the hidden sections. The killing intent and battle intent in his eyes reached its peak. He slung the divine bow on his back and stepped towards the crowd. Many people couldn't help but lower their heads. They didn't dare to look at those terrifying eyes. They were like demons from hell. If they looked at them, their Dao hearts would shatter. Who still wants to fight? I'll accompany you to the end. Yi Qinghan coldly scanned the crowd and asked in a cold voice. Everyone was silent. Although some people were confident that they could defeat Yi Qinghan, they didn't dare to guarantee that they could leave this place alive after defeating Yi Qinghan. Clap, clap. Chen Ke clapped his hands and laughed. Brother Qinghan is indeed a dragon among men. I didn't misjudge you. I hope that one day, we can enter the untainted land and fight. I'll leave today. I have something to do. The untainted land was a desolate and uninhabited place. It wouldn't be affected by the experts there. Many true elites would challenge the untainted land. Even if both sides were injured, there was nothing to worry about. Shen Ke issued the challenge and turned to leave. Yi Qinghan was indifferent. He scanned the hidden sects and found that many true experts were enduring and waiting for an opportunity. Diwu Quangshan frowned. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan to be so strong. He could defeat Yi Qinghan, who was in the 9th stage of the Immortal Gate, without using a monarch weapon. Even though Yi Qinghan's battle prowess was greatly reduced, it didn't stop the crowd from re-evaluating Yi Qinghan's battle prowess. Yi Qinghan, return the heavenly scripture of the Dao Si to the Diwu clan. I'll owe you a favor. When I attain Dao, you can come and find me. As long as it's within my power, I'll help you, Diwu Quangshan said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. He shouted, whether you attain Dao or not, it has nothing to do with me. If you want the heavenly scripture of the Dao Si back, bring Diwu Quangshan's head here and help Si Wuxie's golden bloodline recover. Otherwise, don't talk nonsense with me. Diwu Quangshan was furious. With his status, even a quasi-emperor would have to give him some face and respectfully address him as fellow Taoist. Yi Qinghan refused to give him face time and time again. He couldn't stand it. Chapter 328. Outside the Imperial Abyss City, a murderous aura filled the air. Diwu Quangshan actually wanted to order the hidden forces to kill Yi Qinghan. Both sides faced each other. Nearly 100 people faced off against a dozen people. The gap between them was huge. The hidden experts of the Dao Realm Holy Land finally decided to stop hiding. A handsome man stepped out from the Imperial Abyss City. His white robes fluttered in the wind, and he looked like the wind, rain, and clouds. His clothes were similar to the imperial family of the Wangu Yuntian, but they were not exactly the same. His aura was overwhelming. No one recognized him, which meant that he was a self-proclaimed expert. Even the boundary emperors frowned. They couldn't recognize which era this person was from. Others didn't recognize him, but one person was surprised. That person was Diwu Quangshan. Yi Linshan? You didn't die? Didn't you die in the battle with my brother at Tinya Ridge? Diwu Quangshan's eyes were filled with disbelief as he asked hoarsely. What? This person is from the same era as Diwu Quangshan? He even fought with Diwu Quangshan? Everyone was shocked. They didn't know the name Yi Linshan, but who didn't know Diwu Quangshan? When he was young, he fought with Diwu Quangshan and didn't die. His battle prowess was enough to surpass his peers. Quangshan, I won't make things difficult for you because of your brother. Don't make things difficult for me. Yi Linshan put his hands behind his back. His voice was mellow and majestic. The tip of his foot stepped on a grain of sand. Diwu Quangshan's expression was ugly. Yi Linshan fought with Diwu Quangshan many times in the past. The last time they fought was at Tianya Ridge. In the end, he disappeared without a trace. People of that era thought that he had died in battle. They didn't expect that he was still alive and had sealed himself until now. The experts of the hidden forces finally changed their expressions. They didn't have to give face to others, but they had to give face to Yi Linshan. Diwu Quangshan couldn't represent Diwu Quangshan, but Yi Linshan could. Yi Linshan had single-handedly controlled the battle. Diwu Quangshan had no choice but to retreat. Brother Yi, I hope you can say something. The heavenly scripture of the Tao Si is my brother's personal weapon. You can't miss it? Diwu Quangshan said in a deep voice. You can't miss it? Didn't you miss it too? If Diwu Tianlu knew that the Diwu clan had become what it is today, yet you didn't discipline them, wouldn't you be disappointed? Yi Linshan looked down at Diwu Quangshan, as if he was teaching a junior. Diwu Quangshan clenched his iron fists and breathed heavily. After a long time, he cupped his fists and said, Brother Yi, you are right. I have been concealing myself all these years. It wasn't until 2 years ago that I was awakened by the Imperial weapon's lost arrow. Recently, I have been busy looking for the Imperial weapon and neglected to discipline my back. Let's go back. We won't lose the Imperial weapon. I guarantee that the Imperial weapon will return to the 5th clan after 1,000 years. Yi Linshan's voice was filled with determination. 5th Mad God's mouth twitched. He wanted to refute, but he didn't dare. Back then, Yi Linshan and the 5th Great Emperor and 5th Tianlu could be considered brothers. But back then, only the two of them had the aura of a great emperor. The two of them fought countless times, but their relationship was still very good. When 5th Mad God was young, he followed Yi Linshan like a shadow. Now, he was in awe of him. Mad God will go back now to take charge of the 5th clan and clean up some parasites. Diwu Mad God bowed slightly and left. Everyone didn't expect Diwu Mad God to leave so easily. They couldn't help but be shocked. How strong was Yi Linshan to make Diwu Mad God so respectful? Was he a true genius who had the potential to be crowned emperor like Yi Linshan? Diwu Mad God wasn't qualified now. Didn't that mean that these people had no hope? All of you should leave. The farce is over. The battle of Tao confirmation is not a game for children. How can a group of people fight? Yi Linshan glanced at the heroes and said coldly. Yi Linshan's seniority was ridiculously high. Even if someone was dissatisfied with his attitude, they didn't dare to refute him publicly. They could only leave. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and looked at Yi Linshan. He cupped his fists and said, Thank you for helping me. Yi Linshan looked at the heroes and sighed slightly. He shook his head and said, Things are not, people are not. Why did you seal yourself back then? Yi Linshan turned and left. His faintly discernible figure gradually faded and disappeared without a trace. Yi Qinghan stared at Yi Linshan's back. He could see that his understanding of the Great Tao had reached the peak and was not comparable to ordinary people. He couldn't help but ponder. After a long time, everyone dispersed. Yi Qinghan and the others took Feng Wuxia's body, Si Wuxia, and Li Jiuchong back to the Kuang sect. The atmosphere was very depressing. From today onwards, choose a secret technique and Tao to cultivate. Choose a great Tao to comprehend. No one is allowed to come out of seclusion until they reach the 5th layer of the Immortal Gate, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. The people of the Kuang sect were too young. Compared to the other hidden experts, the gap was too big. They needed time to cultivate. After everyone dispersed, Yi Qinghan left Gu Qingyu alone. He placed the Tianwu combat sword in his hand and said, This Tianwu combat sword is not sealed. Unfortunately, I'm not a sword cultivator and can't get the recognition of the sword spirit. I'll give it to you now. I'll leave it to you when I'm not in the Kuang sect. Gu Qingyu didn't refuse. He reached out and grabbed the hilt of the Tianwu combat sword. The sword spirit actually merged with it automatically. Go and comprehend it. I'll see if Wuxia and Jiuchong can be saved. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse and somewhat tired. He rushed back from absolute heaven and fought two experts. The pressure of time made it hard for him to breathe. Jian Chenxue froze the entire room. There were two crystal-clear ice coffins in the room. One held Si Wuxia and the other held Li Jiuchong. Yi Qinghan opened the door and looked at the two sleeping disciples. His heart ached. "Brother Qinghan, are you sure? If not, it's better to freeze them for now. Once the ice is released, their chance of survival will be gone." Jian Chenxue reminded. Yi Qinghan nodded. He looked at the two in the ice coffins and frowned. "Master, Jiuchong's life force is damaged. His flame of life is about to be extinguished. Without the real life-prolonging medicine, it's almost impossible to save him. As for Wuxia, he burned the essence of his origin. Without the help of heavenly treasures, he's completely wasted." The parrot showed its head and said helplessly. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. His fingertip trembled. He flipped his hand and a finger-sized ball of light appeared in his hand. It gathered and didn't disperse. It looked like a small sun. The parrot was shocked. It drooled and exclaimed, "Oh my God, where did you get this treasure?" Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. It wasn't easy to collect this ball of light from the water. That terrifying girl didn't stop him. He collected it for a long time and only got this little bit. He didn't expect to use it at such a crucial time. "Chenxue, help me remove the seal on Wu Xie's body," Yi Qinghan said seriously. "What is this? It's going to break my seal." Jian Chenxue was shocked. "Light element origin. It can help all kinds of elements. I don't know if it has any effect on the damaged golden bloodline. Let's give it a try." Yi Qinghan said. "Light element origin? You found it?" Jian Chenxue was shocked. The light element origin was a legendary thing. It was said that it could only be found in the center of the sun. Even the great emperors couldn't get close to the sun. Therefore, the light element origin had never appeared. "Master, give me some. Just a little bit. Or you can tell me where you got it. I'll go there and try my luck." The parrot was drooling. Its saliva dripped onto Yi Qinghan's shoulder. "It's in the depths of the ultimate heaven sea. Do you want to try?" Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. When he came back, he realized that if that girl didn't throw him out, he and Emperor Yi wouldn't be able to come out even if they cultivated to the divine martial realm. Ultimate heaven sea? Forget it. I'm not interested in this stuff. Why don't you give me some? I'll return it to you when I find treasures." The parrot drooled. "What's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. There's no need to talk about returning it. This little bit of light element origin is only enough for Wuxia. Next time, we'll explore the ultimate heaven sea." Yi Qinghan decisively rejected the parrot's request and directly injected the light element origin into Si Wuxia's body. The parrot was speechless. Jian Chenxue quickly froze Si Wuxia. "Where's my son?" After finishing her business, Jian Chenxue couldn't help but be curious. With Yi Qinghan's character, it was impossible for him to leave Emperor Yi behind. On an isolated island in the depths of the ultimate heaven sea, there's an unknown super-existence on the island. It left her there and asked me to bring her back after 1,000 years. Yi Qinghan shrugged and said helplessly. Jian Chenxue and Yi Qinghan walked out of the frozen house and found that the disciples and elders were practicing in the martial arts field. The two were silent for a moment. "Chenxue, you stay in the crazy sect these days. I'm going out. After finishing my business, I'll probably go back to the Shaolong region. Do you have a message for your master?" Yi Qinghan whispered and broke the silence. Jian Chenxue was shocked and wanted to go back to the Shaolong region. After thinking carefully, she realized that she had left the Shaolong region for more than 10 years. She really missed the Sky Sword sect. "What are you going to do? If you really go back to the Shaolong region, send my regards. After you're done, I'll go back personally." Jian Chenxue asked curiously. "I'm going to kill Nangong Powu and Jikan and bring them back to worship Xiao Zhanxing's spirit. As long as he's alive, I won't be at ease and Xiao Zhanxing's spirit can't rest in peace," Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. "Are you confident? There are only these two in the crazy sect, but they're both first-class experts. If there are other disciples, you won't be able to handle them alone." Jian Chenxue was a little worried. "It's okay. I'm confident that I can kill them one by one. This isn't a fair battle, but a battle of revenge. I'll use all my trump cards. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth. He hated the two to the core and wanted to kill them quickly. Be careful, the crazy sect still needs you. Jian Shenxue said no more. Yi Qinghan's will was not something that could be changed by ordinary people. Yi Qinghan left with the 3 monarch weapons and quickly disappeared outside the Emperor Abyss City. Chapter 329. In the boundless universe, the imperial domain was boundless. The river of stars stretched for millions of miles, making people feel powerless. Yi Qinghan didn't use the god-slaying eagle. He only wanted to act secretly. This was a battle of revenge. No matter what, Nangong Powu had to be killed. Otherwise, how could he face the billions of lives on Owl War Planet? There were experts everywhere in the imperial domain. The younger generation would fight if they didn't agree. Overall, they were divided into 3 factions. Dao Realm Holy Land, myriad races and hidden clans. These 3 factions were the most powerful. Of course, there were also some independent cultivators. However, they were able to reach this stage because of their heaven-defying luck. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to fight until now. Yi Qinghan was dressed plainly and didn't attract anyone's attention. He inquired about Nangong Powu and Jikan's whereabouts. This was a golden era. If Jikan and Nangong Powu wanted to prove their Dao and fight for the throne, they couldn't hide in their ruined sections. At most, they would hide somewhere to recuperate. Nangong Powu went southeast to the eastern wasteland. Jikan fled to the north. That's the northern tundra. Killing Nangong Powu is more important. Tian will fight sooner or later. Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment. The parrot sped past the border of the eternal battlefield. He didn't stop and directly killed his way to the eastern wasteland. Along the way, Yi Qinghan changed his appearance. He encountered many people from the hidden clans, but he didn't attack. The hidden clans were powerful. As long as it wasn't a hidden power, they had to submit wherever they went. Otherwise, they would be suppressed on the spot. Some of the hidden experts' followers bullied others and humiliated the major sections. Some female disciples were even forcefully taken away. They didn't look like cultivators at all. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. This was fate in this chaotic world. You could only rely on yourself. He could save one, but not a second. Damn, what kind of trash are these hidden clans? How can their ordinary disciples be so trashy? The parrot was furious. It was very unhappy and wanted to attack. Forget it. Their sect elders and sect masters aren't attacking. They're afraid of death. What can I do if I attack? Yi Qinghan was dissatisfied with the servility and cowardice of some people. If they couldn't even protect their own sect's disciples, what was the point of establishing a sect? This divine bird. But snatching a female disciple, what's the difference between this and a bandit? Why do I feel that he's a freaking disciple of a hidden family? The parrot was rather speechless, and its sense of justice was bursting. In front of him was a towering and vast mountain. Spiritual energy swirled around it, and immortal energy pervaded the air. It covered the sky and covered the sun. The tall mountain towered. From afar, it looked like a human-shaped giant mountain. It looked like an otherworldly woman. Hence, it was named Jade Maiden Peak. This place was full of spiritual essence. During the ancient years, a powerful female cultivator took a fancy to this place. She was ranked as a fake emperor, and she established a sect here, naming it the Jade Woman Sword Sect. This place had always been a pure land. The disciples would occasionally leave the mountains to gain experience, so it wasn't too famous. However, ever since the experts of the hidden aristocratic families appeared, it was no longer peaceful. Get the hell out of my way. The fact that I took a fancy to your sect's disciple is your honor. Do you know who my young master is? If you anger me, I'll slaughter your entire sect. An arrogant voice rang out from afar. Below Jade Maiden Peak, more than 10 young experts were at the 5th layer of the Immortal Gate. They were all dressed in uniform, and each of them had 2 top-grade female cultivators in their hands. The female cultivators' clothes were ragged, and they were barely covering their bodies. They were forcefully suppressed, and their faces were filled with anger. They were unwilling to be humiliated, but they couldn't even kill themselves. You're going too far. Jade Maiden Peak doesn't allow disciples to marry outside. If you like, you can just come and propose marriage. Is there a need to snatch by force? What's the difference between this and a bandit? An old woman with a walking stick led more than 30 female disciples to block the violet-robed youths. However, their cultivation bases were uneven. Some had just broken through to the immortal gate, and the strongest was only at the 9th layer of the immortal gate. They were not a match for the violet-robed youths. Huh? Propose marriage? I don't want them for dual cultivation. I just want to borrow their Een essence. The leading youth laughed loudly. He grabbed a woman who was being stepped on and pulled her into his embrace. His hands touched her everywhere, causing the female cultivator to feel ashamed. Tears streamed down her face, but she was powerless to kill herself. The faces of those from Jade Maiden Peak turned ugly. They were incomparably ashamed, and the swords in their hands trembled. We're disciples of the Desire God sect. You'd better behave yourselves. We only want one sect. If you don't behave yourselves, we'll take you all away today and let you experience what a miserable fate is. Don't regret it when the time comes. The Desire God sect was a powerful sect that had developed since ancient times. In the beginning, their goal was dual cultivation. Later on, their goal was to snatch a woman's Een essence, and they forcefully broke through. Later on, they were met with resistance from various large factions, and in the end, they had to hide from the world. No one had expected them to reappear when a Dao realm Holy Land was in decline, and their actions were so arrogant. Evil sect, you'll all die a horrible death. A powerful female cultivator rushed out from Jade Maiden Peak. She was the strongest female disciple of Jade Maiden Peak, and her name was Yuqin. Her cultivation was even higher than some elders, and she was at the 7th stage of the Immortal Gate. Her combat strength was top-notch, but she was still far from being top-notch. Although her cultivation was good, compared to a powerful sect like the Desire God sect, her secret techniques and martial techniques were too weak. Yuqin's temperament was very otherworldly. Although she wasn't a peerless beauty, her cultivation was the highest. Her appearance instantly caused the eyes of the Desire God sect's disciples to light up. Kill them. Don't leave a single one alive. Yuqin was chaste. She would rather die in battle than be humiliated to death. She drew her sword and charged at the leading disciple of the Desire God sect. Get into formation and stop them. The old woman from Jade Maiden Peak gritted her teeth, unwilling to compromise. She led the other disciples to surround the other 9 experts. Swish, 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 more than 30 disciples moved in unison. They had cultivated the Jade Maiden Sword formation to perfection, but its grade was not too high. At most, it could be considered a top-notch 6th grade martial technique. Compared to the 7th grade martial techniques of the Desire God sect's disciples, the difference was too great. The 9 experts sneered and threw the captured female cultivators to the back. They attacked viciously, instantly killing several disciples with weaker cultivations. Yuqin's combat strength was the strongest, and she fought with the strongest opponent. However, her opponent's secret technique was too powerful, and she was forced to retreat. Soon, several wounds appeared on her body. Swish, 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 Yuqin was battered and exhausted. Every sword attack from her opponent took away a piece of her clothes, and her flesh was cut out. She was in a sorry state. Yuqin, run away quickly. Avenge us in the future. The old woman roared furiously. Puchi, a Desire God sect's disciple, pierced through her left shoulder and stabbed into a mountain behind her as he yelled at the female disciples of the Jade Maiden Peak, "All of you stop, or else I'll kill your sect master." The female cultivators were stunned. They were instantly suppressed by the Desire God sect's disciple, and their strength was sealed. Yuqin was also suppressed by the other party's expert, and her true yuan was sealed. Yi Qinghan happened to pass by with the parrot. Their battle had just ended, and they did not expect to do such a thing in broad daylight. Finally, he could not endure it anymore. He clenched his fists and angrily shouted, "Stop! Who are you people? You have committed all kinds of evil and have no regard for the law. The human race is in troubled times. Why don't you do something for the human race? Why are you so arrogant and despotic? Yi Qinghan angrily rebuked. The Desire God sect's disciple immediately stood up and angrily looked at Yi Qinghan. He shouted, "Brat, are you tired of living? You dare to disturb me? Don't you know which sect we are from? How dare you meddle in our business? This divine bird doesn't know which mountain you came from, but I know where you're going." The parrot mocked. "Oh, this little bird is not bad. You actually know where we're going. Then tell me, where are we going?" The Desire God sect's disciple could not help but laugh. "To hell." The parrot unrestrainedly mocked. "This damned bastard, how dare he curse us? Let me tell you, we're from the Desire God sect. Our sect master is a quasi-emperor, and our eldest senior brother is a super expert," the leading expert said coldly. "Then do you know who my master is?" the parrot provoked. "Who is your master?" the Desire God sect's disciple asked disdainfully. "My master is a handsome young master, Yi Qinghan, the sect master of the Madness God sect. His battle prowess is unparalleled, and he is a true super expert. He wields an imperial armament and can trample over thousands of heroes. Your sect master is not even fit to carry my master's shoes," the parrot said disdainfully. "Fuck, I've really seen a ghost. Someone go and kill him. Bring this damned bird back. I'm going to teach it a lesson," the leading disciple said angrily. A young man stepped out proudly. He was in the 5th layer of the Immortal Gate, and his battle prowess could be considered a pseudo-super expert. Why would he care about a nameless brat? He reached out to grab Yi Qinghan, as if he could crush Yi Qinghan with one hand. Gotcha. Yi Qinghan clenched his fist and broke his arm, instantly grabbing his throat. The destructive aura surged through his blood vessels and into his limbs and bones. That powerful cultivator at the 5th level of the Immortal Gate only had time to let out a muffled groan before collapsing to the ground. He was dead. He did not even have the chance to struggle. A bunch of trash. You don't think about improving yourself, and you only know how to bully the weak. Looks like I'll have to destroy all of you. Yi Qinghan's aura turned cold. He did not want to hold back anymore. The leading expert of the Desire God sect narrowed his eyes and threatened, "Fellow Taoist, we're from the Desire God sect. Think carefully before you do anything." Desire God sect? I've never heard of it. Are you going to kill yourselves, or do you want me to waste my time? Yi Qinghan stretched his neck, waved his hand, and asked coldly. "You're courting death. Brothers, let's attack together and kill him first." Swish! The 9 powerful 5th layer Immortal Gate cultivators immediately abandoned the female cultivators in their hands and rushed towards Yi Qinghan with their weapons. Swish, 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 Yi Qinghan slashed out 9 times in a row. Not a single slash was wasted. The saber chi split open the ground and almost split the Jade Maiden Sword Mountain. The 9 experts were directly disintegrated by the crisscrossing saber chi. Blood flowed all over the ground, and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Fire! Yi Qinghan waved his hand, and a peak 7th grade flame burned everything in the surroundings. Even the rocks were burned into ashes. When the wind blew, they scattered, leaving no trace behind. "Master is mighty!" the parrot shouted. It wished that Yi Qinghan could kill a few more to vent the anger in his heart. Yi Qinghan was indifferent. With a flick of his finger, a stream of true qi turned into more than 20 streams of true qi, releasing more than 20 sealed female cultivators' qi seas. The female cultivators quickly got up. Yu Qin was in an even more miserable state. She crawled up in a sorry state. Yi Qinghan turned around and casually threw out some Immortal Gate Taoist robes. These were all personally made by him, and the quality was much better than the clothes they were wearing. Everyone quickly changed their clothes and respectfully knelt on the ground. "Thank you, Senior, for your help. The disciples of the Jade Maiden Sword Sect are extremely grateful. Get up. Where's your sword sect master?" Yi Qinghan frowned and asked. Cough, cough. The old woman coughed up blood. Although she did not die, she was heavily injured. At this moment, she said with difficulty, "This old woman is the sect master. Thank you for your help, young master. I am extremely grateful. Please accept my defeat. Yi Qinghan hurriedly stretched out his hand to support the old woman. He said in a deep voice, "Fellow Taoist, there's no need to be so courteous. It's good that you helped the disciples of your sect. I should have helped." The parrot curled its lips. The sect master was only at the 9th stage of the Immortal Gate realm. Moreover, she was at the edge of the imperial region. It was a miracle that such a sect could survive until now. It could not help but look at Yi Qinghan, hoping that he could help. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. How could such a sect cultivate in this chaotic world? However, they had no other choice. If they were left alone, their fate would be even worse. The local forces might take the opportunity to cause trouble and capture them. Chapter 330. Yi Qinghan pulled out the sword from the old woman's body and stopped the bleeding. He threw her a 6th-grade healing pill and said with a frown, "In this chaotic world, it's not suitable for a sect like yours. Go to the central area of the imperial region. At least the ancient massacre god is there to maintain order." Yuqin knelt and said sorrowfully, "Young master, you don't know. Our cultivation is not strong and we don't have any foundation. How can we survive in the central area of the imperial region? Master, help them to the end. How about you help them? Otherwise, what's the difference between us and those people?" Ever since the parrot killed the primal Chaos Emperor, it claimed to be the savior of the world. Its benevolence exploded and it wanted to save the weak. Seeing so many pitiful female cultivators, it immediately wanted to help. "Young master, please save us. So many disciples of the Desire God sect have gone missing. They will definitely come. Any elite disciple will be enough to make us powerless." Yuqin and the others all knelt on the ground. Even the old woman knelt and kept begging. Yi Qinghan was stunned. It was as if he saw Owl Warstar from back then. So many people were begging and crying like them, but no one helped. Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and sighed. "Sigh, take this token. If you see the ancient god of slaughter or the disciples of the Tao realm's sacred grounds, ask them to help send you to the insane sect on the east side of Emperor Abyss City. Let Xia Qiue make arrangements for you." Yi Qinghan threw out a wooden token. The words on it were not ordinary at all. They were soul-stirring. Insane sect. It was just 2 words, but it represented a legend. It could at least intimidate many people. Yuqin took the token. She was overjoyed when she saw the words on it. She looked up at Yi Qinghan excitedly and asked respectfully, "Young master, are you from the insane sect?" "Yes, there's no need to pack up Jade Maiden Peak. Hurry up and leave. This place is not suitable for you to stay." Yi Qinghan said and left. The world here was like Owl Warstar from back then. Many people were begging helplessly. Unfortunately, he could not help them all. In truth, it wasn't just the imperial region that was like this. All of the endless universes were in chaos. Experts occupied an area and acted tyrannically, forcefully plundering resources. Corpses piled up like mountains, and many powerful female cultivators could be seen everywhere. In this chaotic world, only the strong could protect themselves. The weak could only cry in hell. Yuqin carried the old woman on her back and led the many female disciples to madly rush to the center of the sovereign domain under the cover of the night. They didn't dare to stop at all. They rested during the day and traveled at night. They didn't dare to appear in front of experts. They only dared to rush into the city when they were close to it. The city was not very safe. The people of the hidden aristocratic families did not care about the city lord of a small city. Some powerful sects also wanted to take the opportunity to make a profit. When they saw the female cultivators, their eyes lit up. A strong martial artist of the god realm led a group of disciples to surround Yuqin and the others. He jokingly said, "Fairies, seeing how tired you all are, I can tell that you are refugees. If you don't have anyone to rely on, why don't you join our Iron Wolf gang?" Yuqin couldn't help but retreat a few steps with the old woman on her back, but the other party was getting closer and closer, forcing them to the city gate. Yuqin flashed the wooden token and said with gritted teeth, "You are a local force of the sovereign domain. Don't tell me you don't recognize where this token came from? The Iron Wolf gang was stunned. Who didn't know about the group of lunatics of the insane sect? Especially Yi Qinghan. With his violent temper, he even dared to scold a boundary emperor. Was there anything he didn't dare to do? There was also that stupid bird. It was said that he had killed the dead spirit emperor. The local forces of the sovereign domain had to be wary of the insane sect. Even the Dao realm's sacred grounds had to give them face. So, sorry, we didn't know you were from your sect. We will leave now. The strong martial artist's face was ashen. He felt a burning pain on his face, as if he had hit a metal plate. What are you waiting for? Apologize to the fairy. The strong martial artist of the Iron Wolf gang angrily scolded the disciples behind him. Fairy, we are sorry. We didn't mean to offend you. Whoosh! The strong martial artist led the group of disciples out of the city. Yuqin couldn't help but exhale a turbid breath. She clutched the token tightly. The wooden token looked worthless, but it was a life-saving treasure in this chaotic world. At this moment, a middle-aged man wearing the battle robes of the ancient slaughter god just so happened to arrive here. They were in charge of maintaining order in the imperial region. Unfortunately, the ancient slaughter god had suffered heavy losses in the last war. Now, they were lacking in manpower and had to travel back and forth between several cities. They simply couldn't manage other matters. Yuqin was overjoyed. She ran to the strong martial artist and respectfully presented the token. Who gave you the insane sex token? How can I help you? The ancient massacre god's disciple was stunned. The words on the token were so arrogant that it could suppress the heavens. It was obvious that it was carved by a top expert of the insane sect. He immediately asked, Sir, it's a young man. He has a 7-foot-long sword in his hand. He saved us and asked us to take this token to the ancient massacre god's help to send us to the insane sect. Please help us. Yuqin directly knelt down and looked at the ancient massacre god's disciple expectantly. The ancient massacre god's status was very high. He wasn't someone that ordinary people could command. She couldn't guarantee that this wooden token wouldn't make him help. The ancient massacre god's disciple raised his eyebrows and his eyelids twitched. The young man described by Yuqin was Yi Qinghan. If he could help Yi Qinghan, he would have one more life-saving trump card in this chaotic world. You all come with me. The ancient massacre god's disciple led Yuqin and the others out of the city without hesitation. They finally didn't have to worry about anything. Yi Qinghan brought the parrot and sped all the way to the eastern wasteland. He didn't hide his tracks anymore. When he encountered evil cultivators, he directly killed them. He had offended countless forces. The local forces of the imperial domain were not afraid of him, but the people of the hidden forces were not. They kept sending experts to stop him. Unfortunately, they were all sent to their deaths. Yi Qinghan didn't treat them kindly, he only wanted to kill them. One man and one saber. In this chaotic world, he killed one person every 10 steps. Blood stained the ground. The parrot clamored. Every time it helped someone, it would leave behind the name, Divine Bird Savior. For a while, rumors spread everywhere. Some people didn't even know if it was Yi Qinghan or a bird that helped. Finally, Yi Qinghan's strength attracted an expert, Di Wuhi. Di Wuhi joined forces with 3 experts from the Yin-Yang school, 5 disciples from the Profound sect, and 2 powerful 9th-layer Immortal Gate experts to attack Yi Qinghan's location. On the second day, a group of people blocked Yi Qinghan's path. Di Wu Tianhe's killing intent soared to the heavens as he said coldly, Yi Qinghan, return the heavenly scripture of the Tao Si to me and I'll grant you an intact corpse. Fuck, I've never seen anyone who wants to die like you. If you hadn't injured Wu Xie, half of the light source would have been mine. It's all your fault, you bastard. I'm going to burn you alive. The parrot roared furiously when it saw Di Wu Tianhe. It was even angrier than when it saw its enemy. The corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth curled up as he looked at the 11 experts. They were considered a formidable force. However, only Di Wu Tian Gully could withstand a few blows from Yi Qinghan. I've been looking for you all over the world, and you actually came to me to die. Yi Qinghan sneered in disdain. He clenched his fist and charged into the crowd. Boom! Whoosh! The saber light pierced through the sky, and the tyrannical Qi could steal one's soul. Yi Qinghan was like a wolf in a flock of sheep. His basic saber art had become a killing secret art. The same secret art, but the power was on a completely different level. The experts from the Profound sect and the 3 experts from the Yin-Yang school were instantly injured. The destructive Qi attached to the saber Qi killed most of their vitality. Saber shattering the Milky Way. Yi Qinghan was unstoppable. He turned into a god of war, and with a single slash, a shockwave rushed into the clouds, causing the ground to tremble. Ah! Run! Puchi! The miserable screams were instantly drowned out. When the dust settled, Diwu Tianhe was stunned. He looked around in horror. The 10 experts he had found hadn't even been able to withstand a single blow. They had all died without a complete corpse. Even their bones had been shattered into dust. This is impossible. It's only been 2 years. How can you be so strong? Diwu he roared in anger, and kept retreating. He had no more strength to fight. Master's greatness is not something you can imagine. Die in peace. Don't hang around in front of this divine bird. Just looking at you annoys me. The parrot said disdainfully while squatting on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. Yi Qinghan put away his saber and formed a seal with his palms. He waved his hand and said in a deep voice, "Be my stepping stone. I'll use you to test my secret art." Return of the Emperor Realm. Boom. The spiritual Qi in the world was forcefully conscripted by Yi Qinghan. True Yuan poured out and formed a giant hand that suppressed Diwu He. Diwu He was scared out of his wits. He didn't dare to fight against Yi Qinghan. He turned around and ran away. However, his speed couldn't be compared to Yi Qinghan's. The giant hand broke through the void and hit Diwu He's back. Puff! Diwu He was almost suppressed by the palm. His body cracked and blood stained the ground. His body fell to the ground. In my name, I'll seal the space within 100 miles. Nothing will exist. Yi Qinghan roared. He used his palms to break the space and used the law of space to seal the area. Those who didn't have a deep understanding of the law of space couldn't tear the space apart. Sure enough, when Diwu He got up from the ground, he couldn't feel the law of space around him. He wanted to run away, but he couldn't. The Emperor descends. Yi Qinghan closed in and waved his hand again to suppress Diwu He. Yi Qinghan, stop it. If you dare to kill me, the Diwu family will not let you go. Diwu He roared in despair. If the Diwu family dares to oppose me, I'll destroy them. Yi Qinghan showed no mercy. No matter how strong a person like him was, he was still a selfish person. He didn't deserve to live. Boom. The giant hand smashed the ground and a huge pit appeared. Diwu He's blood splattered into the sky. His vitality was suppressed and he died on the spot. Today is Sister Doe's and my birthday. I'll write 10 chapters first. There will be more during the day. Please give me your blessings. A review, a tip, and a subscription are the best affirmation for me. Thank you. Chapter 331. A huge fire burned the battlefield and 11 experts died on the spot. Not even their corpses were left. This scene was witnessed by many people, which made the local forces excited. Finally, someone dared to provoke the hidden sects and fight for the local forces. Yi Qinghan left indifferently. After killing them, he suddenly understood that the chaotic world was heartless. The great emperors also walked to the peak by stepping on corpses. The corpses they stepped on might not have hatred, but only determination. The chaotic world was heartless, and so were the great emperors. Their killing intent might be stronger than anyone else's. They pushed forward unhindered. As long as there was an opponent, they would kill. No matter how strong the opponent was, or if they had the potential to prove their Tao, they would be killed mercilessly. This was the path to prove one's Tao. Yi Qinghan pressed forward. His heart became clearer and clearer, and his battle intent grew stronger. At this moment, he finally understood why he killed. At this moment, there was no longer any burden in his heart. Along the way, Yi Qinghan killed at least 100 experts. The weakest of them was at the 5th layer of the Immortal Gate. He was known as the Berserk War Demon, or the Mad Demon. His reputation spread throughout the entire sovereign domain. The eastern wasteland was incomparably huge. It was a large continent in the sovereign domain, as vast as a star domain. The aura of the great wilderness pervaded this place. Everything was still very ancient. There weren't many sects, but they were all very powerful. The desolate ancient forest covered the sky, and ancient beasts could be seen everywhere. The mountain range stretched endlessly. It was a place rarely explored by the experts of the sovereign domain because there was a danger zone that could devour quasi-emperor experts. The Golden Crow Mountain was also known as the Flaming Mountain. The temperature was extremely high, and there was an ancient sacred beast called the three-legged golden crow. It represented the scorching sun and was as fast as lightning. Even quasi-emperors couldn't escape from its pursuit. The Golden Crow race and the experts of the sovereign domain had an agreement that quasi-emperors weren't allowed to enter the Eastern Wasteland. In the entire Eastern Wasteland, there were no other forces except for a few families and sects that used fire as their secret arts and worshipped the Golden Crow as their totem. The families and sects in the depths of the Eastern Wasteland ostracized outsiders and rarely interacted with the Tao realm's sacred grounds. This place was well preserved, and it was similar to the desolate ancient era. The spiritual qi was abundant, and there were precious herbs and spirit herbs everywhere. The desolate aura was very dense, and only birds could fly in the sky. Yi Qinghan arrived at the entrance of the Eastern Wasteland. That's right, there were many supreme treasures here. This was even a battlefield from the ancient times. If one had the opportunity, it wasn't impossible to obtain a damaged emperor weapon. A broken monarch weapon was the best material to forge a natal monarch weapon. No one would disassemble a complete monarch weapon to forge a new one. Even if a great sovereign didn't have a monarch weapon, he wouldn't do that. A complete monarch weapon represented the hard work of the ancestors. It was no different from blaspheming the ancestors. The parrot left Yi Qinghan to search for treasures and materials. Yi Qinghan released the god-slaying eagle, fire crow, and the rainbow snake, and let them search for their own fortunes. Once these three powerful creatures entered the forest, they immediately devoured the giant beasts in a frenzy, especially the rainbow snake. Wherever it passed, there was no life. It was as fast as lightning and was very small, so it was impossible to guard against it. The divine martial realm giant beasts were instantly devoured until only skin and bones were left, and all their essences were devoured by it. A giant beast pounced at the god-slaying eagle, but the god-slaying eagle grabbed it and threw it into the sky. The beast roared and struggled wildly, but it couldn't fly at all. Boom! The forest collapsed, and gravel flew everywhere. The giant beast fell to its death. The god-slaying eagle swallowed the giant beast and realized that the ancient beasts here were very powerful. They were the best nourishment. It couldn't help but pounce into the distance. Yi Qinghan frowned. He didn't understand why such powerful beasts couldn't fly. However, when he wanted to fly into the sky, he realized that the space here seemed to forbid flying. Other than birds, humans couldn't fly at all. No matter how strong the giant beasts were, they couldn't fly. This is the Golden Crow's territory. Other than birds, no one can fly. This is the Golden Crow Thearka's curse, the parrot said excitedly as it flapped its wings smugly. No wonder. Yi Qinghan smiled. If what the parrot said was true, then the Golden Crow the Arch was really mischievous. In order to show the advantages of birds, he actually cursed the entire eastern wilderness. Giant beasts with savage bloodlines were as large as mountains. They were good at camouflage and could hide in the forest like a mound. No one would pay attention to them. However, the spirit beasts by Yi Qinghan's side all had terrifying spiritual awareness and intelligence. This was especially true for the parrot. It charged through the forest with its mouth full of saliva, swallowing any high-level spirit grass it came across. Yi Qinghan followed behind it, speechless. This was the first time he saw a bird eating grass. It was indeed a legendary weirdo. Oh my, there's a supreme treasure here. The parrot rushed into a valley. Yi Qinghan followed closely, afraid that it would encounter danger. The multicolored snake and the god-slaying eagle would not be too far away from Yi Qinghan. They guarded the surroundings and started to hunt with him as the base. A large number of giant beasts were devoured, leaving only a few skin bags behind. The multicolored snake evolved very quickly. However, not only did it not become bigger, it was shrinking instead. It could control its body on its own. In the valley, Yi Qinghan looked up at the sacred ground. The light was gentle, and the flowers were red and green. The spirit qi was so dense that it was liquid. It was extremely ethereal, like a paradise on earth. In the center of the valley was a lake with a radius of a few thousand meters. There were many lotus leaves on it, and the spirit qi was constantly changing into liquid form and dripping into the lake. The parrot started to devour the spirit qi directly, discarding the wastewater. At this moment, it was like a filter, taking the essence and discarding the dregs. The god-slaying eagle, fire crow, and the multicolored snake also followed in and directly jumped into the lake. The multicolored snake was like a miniature version of a divine dragon. It swam in the lake, coiling around the green lotus and disappearing in a flash. The green lotus withered, and its essence was devoured by the snake at a frightening speed. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank slightly. He felt that the multicolored snake's evolution speed was much faster than the god-slaying eagle's. In a short while, it had successfully evolved to the middle stage of rank 7 and was moving towards the peak of rank 7. Once it entered rank 8, no one knew where the potential of this creature would end. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, hundreds of spirit snakes rushed out of the lake and all of them pounced on the multicolored snake. They bared their fangs, wanting to protect the green lotus in the lake. Hiss hiss hiss. The multicolored snake devoured the spirit snakes crazily. Its body was expanding like a giant multicolored python, swallowing countless spirit snakes in one gulp. The multicolored snake swallowed hundreds of high-level spirit snakes and started to suck in water. It was like a dragon in the legends, hanging upside down and sucking in water. A huge water droplet appeared in the center of the lake and rushed into space. The multicolored snake's excited voice was like a dragon's roar, echoing through the valley. Suddenly, divine light surged from the depths of the lake, forming a green barrier around the lake. It blocked the god-slaying eagle and the multicolored snake's crazy absorption of spirit qi. Only the parrot rushed into the barrier and was not affected at all. Yi Qinghan was shocked. His eyes pierced through the void and saw a huge green lotus in the center of the lake controlling space patterns, confining the surroundings. Its body was also emitting a terrifying aura, forming a barrier in the outside world, preventing spirit qi from leaking out. This is... Yi Qinghan was shocked. This green lotus was far more ancient than he had imagined. He whispered, "Is it from the beginning of the Shenwu era, the ancient times, or the ancient times, or the legendary ancient times? The green lotus represents life. I wonder if its essence can save the life of the rank 9. The green lotus sat on the surface of the water. When the mature lotus seeds fell to the bottom of the lake, even after 10,000 years, they would not rot. Instead, countless green lotuses would grow. Yi Qinghan reached out to touch the barrier. He realized that the barrier was very gentle, but it was incomparably tough. The barrier would return the same amount of force he exerted. It seemed to contain the principles of yin and yang, and the green lotus had used it to the extreme. Divine bird, bring out some green lotus seeds. Yi Qinghan could not enter. The god-slaying eagle and the multicolored snake were also rejected. The fire crow transformed into its human form and stood behind Yi Qinghan, looking at the green lotus with a covetous expression. The divine light was gentle and round, containing a terrifying life force. The patterns of the great Tao and the laws followed. It seemed like it was about to prove its Tao. There was only one sacred medicine to prove its Tao. It was the enlightenment divine lotus from the ancient times. It comprehended the great Tao of the 9 heavens and became the strongest in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. In the end, it disappeared quietly. No one knew where it went. The parrot's eyes flickered as it landed on the green lotus leaf. Its eyes darted around as it said to the green lotus, "Great divine lotus, this divine bird is not greedy. I will not harm your foundation. I only want some lotus seeds to save people. I hope you will be generous." The green lotus swayed. It did not reject the parrot at all. A ripple appeared on the surface of the lake, and then it spun at a low speed. A small whirlpool appeared. The black lotus seeds at the bottom of the lake were filled with Tao patterns. It was as if one could see through all kinds of great Tao from the lotus seeds. The parrot's eyes lit up. Its little claws moved, and the universe ring continuously absorbed the lotus seeds. 3 seeds, 5 seeds, 20 seeds. The parrot said that it was not greedy, but it was greedy to the extreme. It took a total of 50 lotus seeds, all of which were produced by this large green lotus. They were extremely precious. After taking away the green lotus seeds, the parrot still did not leave. At this time, the green lotus had already matured. The lotus seeds were also ripe and could fall off at any time. Its mouth drooled. Great divine lotus, look at how cute I am. I'm not greedy. Can you give me some of the lotus seeds that have just ripened? Just half is enough. AI, these are chaotic times. The human race needs precious treasures to grow. The parrot chattered on endlessly. The green lotus continuously swayed its leaves. In the end, it had no choice but to open its own lotus seed pod. 5 lotus seeds flew out, emitting divine light. They were filled with the profound mysteries of the great Tao. Their value was simply inestimable. Haha, many thanks, Lord Green Lotus. I hope you can prove your Tao and ascend soon, and become eternal. The parrot did not dare to be greedy. It took the lotus seeds and directly rushed to the shore. Chapter 332. The parrot smugly rushed out from the lakeshore. The enchantment was nothing to it. Just as it had said, as long as there was spiritual energy, it couldn't be stopped from entering. As long as the enchantment was filled with spiritual energy, it could take advantage of the opportunity to enter. The parrot returned to Yi Qinghan's shoulder. It grinned and said, "Master, Qing Lian gave me a lotus seed. Here you go." Yi Qinghan had taken more than 50 lotus seeds. 5 of them had just ripened and were more effective. Yet, the parrot had said that it had obtained one. Its ability to lie through its teeth was top-notch. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. The corners of his mouth curled into a mocking smile. How could he not understand the parrot's temper? If it had obtained one, it would have said that Qing Lian was stingy and didn't give it any seeds. Give me half. Otherwise, don't blame me for taking them all away. Yi Qinghan grabbed the parrot and said coldly, "Hiss." The multicolored snake angrily looked at the parrot. It stuck out its forked tongue as if it wanted to swallow it whole. The god-slaying eagle also screeched in a threatening manner. The parrot trembled. It quickly threw out a dozen green lotus seeds, including one that had just ripened. It smiled flatteringly and said, "Master, I'm hiding them for you. If you need them in the future, I won't hesitate to give them to you." Yi Qinghan didn't feel like arguing with it. He put away the lotus seeds. He found that one of them was completely different from the others. It was full of light and vitality. It contained at least 4 or 5 kinds of Tao principles. It was extremely precious. "Give me 2 more of these lotus seeds." Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed as he said in a deep voice, "Master, we agreed that we would each take half." The parrot went crazy. There were only 5 of these lotus seeds. It was greedy for these lotus seeds. "How many of them did you get?" Yi Qinghan looked at the parrot. He really wanted to slap it to death. It was the first time he had seen a spirit pet that dared to compete with its master. "I got 5. The parrot looked at Yi Qinghan's eyes. It didn't dare to hide anything. It hung its head and said in a dejected manner, "Give me 2, I hope it can save Jiuchang's life. Take 2 and I won't ask you for more in the future." Yi Qinghan sighed and shook his head. As a member of the insane sect, this divine bird is a kind and benevolent person. How could I not save him? I left the lotus seed to save him and Wu Xie. The parrot said righteously. Yi Qinghan shook his head. The parrot's ability to quibble was top-notch, but it was slightly lacking in terms of shamelessness. Yi Qinghan didn't want to argue with it. He bowed towards the center of the lake and said, "Thank you, Senior Blue Lotus, for bestowing upon me this panacea. In the future, this junior will do his best to repay you." The green lotus swayed and its brilliance illuminated the sky, as if it was responding to Yi Qinghan's words. Little did they know that this chance encounter would bestow upon each other an opportunity greater than the heavens. Yi Qinghan bowed and retreated. He looked at the huge valley and whispered, "It would be nice to build the insane sect here." Outside the valley, the colorful snake swam in front of Yi Qinghan and stuck out its forked tongue. Obviously, it was drooling over the lotus seed. The parrot suddenly flashed and said proudly, "Submit to this divine bird, and I will give you two." "So what?" The god-slaying eagle and the colorful snake turned their heads at the same time. The fire crow snorted in disdain. "This divine bird is Master's #1 spirit pet. No matter how strong you are, you have to stand aside for me. If you provoke me, I'll pluck out all your feathers." The parrot roared at the multicolored snake. "Little snake, what's with your attitude?" "Oh fuck, how dare you look down on this divine bird?" The parrot rubbed its palms together, itching to rush up and give the three of them a punch, but its strength couldn't even beat the weakest fire crow, let alone the multicolored snake and the god-slaying eagle. In the end, it could only try to reason with them. Unfortunately, they were indifferent. In the end, they threw out their trump card, throwing out more than 10 lotus seeds. "If you recognize me as your big brother in the future, there will be many treasures. If you dare to disrespect me again, hee." The colorful snake swallowed half of the lotus seed in one gulp. Its whole body expanded and its blood vessels expanded. Its whole body was shedding and transforming. New snake skin appeared and 8 colors appeared. Yi Qinghan was shocked. The colorful snake's evolution speed was indeed terrifying. It was actually evolving directly into an 8th-rank colorful snake. The god-slaying eagle was also very fast. After swallowing 5 lotus seeds, its whole body seemed to be covered in flames. Its feathers turned crimson red, and its blood vessels broke through the shackles. It was advancing toward the middle of the 8th rank. The fire crow swallowed 2 seeds and unfolded its body. It covered the sky and the sun and spat a mouthful of fire into the void, burning the void. The profound meaning of the laws appeared, and the great Tao rumbled. The effect of the lotus seed shocked Yi Qinghan. The 3 spiritual pets were all working hard to evolve. Yi Qinghan was very happy. He held his saber to protect them and stood vigilantly at the side, afraid that a powerful ancient beast would rush out and disturb their evolution. Time passed, and the scorching sun moved. The sun set in the west, and the moon descended. However, this valley was like a scorching sun in the sky. The fire crow's body was almost torn apart. Its strength was the weakest, and it couldn't take it anymore after eating 2 lotus seeds. However, the speed of its evolution was astonishing. It was emitting a scorching light all around. It was frantically suppressing its realm to evolve to the same level. The god-slaying eagle and the colorful snake were both suppressing their realms. Otherwise, they could break through their realms in an instant. The god-slaying eagle was now at the early stage of the divine martial realm. Its combat power wasn't top-notch among its peers. However, at this moment, it was transforming and shrinking. Its wings turned golden red like the scorching sun in the sky. A mournful roar shook the eastern barren and attracted terrifying giant beasts. However, they were all intimidated and didn't dare to come close. The colorful snake's skin was completely shed. The 8-colored light was captivating. 2 claws appeared below, and with a light shake, it broke through the void. Its eyes opened, and it successfully broke through to the early stage of the 8th rank. Its cultivation was still suppressed at the immortal realm, but its combat power was at least 10 times, or even 100 times. The god-slaying eagle might not be its opponent now. Yi Qinghan smiled excitedly. With the support of these 3 spiritual pets, it would be easy to kill Diwu Quangshan. The parrot squatted on Yi Qinghan's shoulder and scratched its ears and cheeks. It didn't expect the lotus seeds it threw out to be so effective. It regretted it secretly. It should have thrown out 3 seeds first and let them beg it when they were addicted to it. Wouldn't it be easy to subdue them then? Yi Qinghan took out a black lotus seed and held it tightly in his hand. He directly embedded it into his flesh and slowly absorbed its power, comprehending the origin of the great Tao that Qing Lian comprehended. Qing Lian comprehended many great Tao origin laws. The great Tao of Yin and Yang was the most profound, followed by the great Tao of order. Yi Qinghan closed his eyes. Half of his divine consciousness was outside, guarding the surroundings, and the other half was comprehending the great Tao of yin and yang and the great Tao of order. The pages of the divine martial emperor code were flipping crazily. With the support of Yi Qinghan's divine consciousness, the great Tao of yin and yang and the great Tao of order gradually became clear. At this moment, Yi Qinghan also began to transform. His divine consciousness was clear, rushing to 10,000 miles high, overlooking the eastern wilderness. Everything within 10,000 miles was under his control. Yi Qinghan's aura was rising crazily, as if he could control the order of heaven and earth and the great Tao of yin and yang with a wave of his hand. The divine martial emperor code crazily supported Yi Qinghan's divine consciousness. It was like a great emperor comprehending the great Tao laws. As long as there was time, any great Tao law could be comprehended. The surrounding forest was dead silent. There wasn't even the sound of birds chirping. Even the wind had stopped. There was only the rustling of leaves due to the scorching heat. The god-slaying eagle twisted its body. Its divine aura was vast and mighty like a divine phoenix. Red flames burned the sky. Its sharp claws emitted golden light, sharper than divine martial Tao weapons. It was still suppressing its realm, but its combat power was getting stronger and stronger. Its vital energy was exuberant, as if it was about to burn. The colorful snake was a gifted snake. Its body was getting smaller and smaller, and the 8 rays of colorful light were getting more and more intense. It shed its skin time and time again, occupying the ground. The vitality in the surroundings was being taken away by it. Fortunately, Yi Qinghan and the god-slaying eagle were far away from it. Otherwise, they would definitely be affected. Time passed slowly. The darkness before dawn shrouded the valley. Yi Qinghan raised his hand slightly. There was a burst of light. The great Tao of order mobilized the light and shrouded the valley. I said the order is under my control. The void is divided, the mountains are moved, a deep voice spread out. In the depths of the void, the firmament was split into 2. The crack was getting bigger and bigger. The mountains shook as if they were going to move the mountains and fill the sea. Yi Qinghan was just whispering. He didn't use his vital energy, but his will had reached such a level. It was a pity that he wasn't strong enough. The mountains weren't moved, and they quieted down. I said the order is under my control. The rotten wood is turned into spring. Yi Qinghan pointed at the void and pressed down on a giant withered tree. The great Tao of order patterns appeared, and the withered tree actually transformed from decay into something magical. Vitality appeared, and tender branches and green shoots burst forth. The parrot trembled as it watched the terrifying scene. It fled from Yi Qinghan's shoulder. I said the order is under my control. The sand and stones fill the sea. Whoosh, the sand and stones evolved. It was enough to suppress a valley like a tall mountain. Yi Qinghan continuously formed seals. With a glance, the order of 10,000 things was under his control. The trees could move, the rotten wood could be turned into spring, the laws were swords, and the source was a blade. It could break through shackles. This was order. The will of one eye could suppress everything and change everything. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan's realm was limited. The great Tao of order couldn't be used. Congratulations, Master. You've comprehended the embryonic form of the great Tao of order. The parrot flattered and congratulated. Yi Qinghan smiled gently. He was gentle, scholarly, and extremely amiable. The order blocked all impurities, and his temperament was transcendent. He said softly, "This is only an embryonic form. It's just a facade. It can hardly display any battle strength against a true expert. Master is smart. It's only a matter of time." The parrot grinned. Yi Qinghan nodded. This was the truth. The great Tao of order required time to comprehend, bitter cultivation, and actual combat. It was only a matter of time before it could be used in the future. He then turned to look at the god-slaying eagle, the brightly colored snake, and the fire crow. He discovered that they had all improved quite a bit. The brightly colored snake had improved the fastest. It had already reached the 8th stage of the Immortal Gate. Its true battle strength was terrifying, not inferior to the peak of the middle stage of the divine martial realm. It was comparable to the god-slaying eagle. If they fought to the death, Yi Qinghan believed that the god-slaying eagle might fall. The parrot was filled with regret. It had actually wasted such a great opportunity. This was the last thing it wanted to do in its life. You're worth teaching. You didn't waste my lotus seeds. If you submit to me and call me Big Brother, you'll have many benefits in the future. The parrot didn't want to waste this opportunity and made an empty promise. Chapter 333. In the mountains, the parrot stood on Yi Qinghan's shoulder and clamored. It wanted to subdue the three powerful and unruly beasts. The fire crow was ordinary, but the god-slaying eagle and the colorful snake, one was personally trained by Yi Qinghan, and the other was gifted. The parrot had long wanted to subdue them. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment. If he was not around, the parrot could take the lead and lead the three masters. It could help the Kuang sect. You three listen up. In the future, if I am not around, you must listen to the divine bird's orders. Do not go against it. Yi Qinghan stared at the colorful snake and the fire crow. He was not worried about the god-slaying eagle. It had been following him since it was a rank 4. It was loyal and would not go against his will. As expected, the god-slaying eagle immediately nodded. The fire crow hesitated for a moment but didn't dare to disobey. Even the multicolored snake was cold and unyielding. It was somewhat unwilling, but it didn't dare to go against Yi Qinghan's will. It twisted its body and finally submitted. The parrot laughed arrogantly and took in 3 more underlings. In order to show that as a big brother he would not treat his underlings unfairly, he hurriedly gave the god-slaying eagle and the multicolored snake 5 lotus seeds. The fire crow got 2, which made the 3 of them feel a little better. You will not lose out if you follow me. There are no treasures in this world that cannot be obtained. You will be able to reach rank 9 easily, the parrot said proudly. Yi Qinghan smiled. This parrot was really good at hoodwinking people. It was even better at making empty promises than he was. The god-slaying eagle believed in the parrot and treated it sincerely. After all, the parrot had done earth-shattering things along the way. As long as it wanted to do something, there was nothing it could not do. Yi Qinghan led the 4 divine beasts and continued forward, allowing the god-slaying eagle, the colorful snake, and the fire crow to kill and evolve. The eastern wasteland forest was boundless. Yi Qinghan could not fly, so he could only run with his knife. The pressure of the savage martial inheritance and the divine martial inheritance was getting stronger and stronger. It made him understand that Nangong Powu was indeed here, in the eastern wasteland. Screech! The god-slaying eagle roared, its body becoming much smaller, directly tearing apart the archaic creatures, directly devouring them, absorbing the essence within their bodies. The multicolored snake had pierced through a desolate beast at the immortal gate realm. Wherever it passed, it left behind withered bones. Even the bones had become dry and lusterless. Its killing intent was too strong. Yi Qinghan squinted his eyes as he looked at the multicolored snake. He knew that such a thing had to be controlled well, or it would hurt others and himself. The sky brightened, and light enveloped the area. A man and 4 beasts entered the depths, slaughtering their way through. Corpses and bones piled up like mountains. Yi Qinghan stood on top of a tall mountain with his saber in hand and looked down. The forest was ethereal and filled with spiritual qi. White mist coiled in the air and blocked his vision. He sighed in his heart. He did not expect that in this chaotic world, there would still be such a large area within the imperial domain that had not been developed. Crack! Yi Qinghan clenched his fists tightly. Stepping on the god-slaying eagle, he charged straight into the depths. Screech! The speed of the god-slaying eagle was extremely fast, and the stars moved as it charged into a deep ravine. It was as if it had been split open by a sword. The 2 sides of the cliff were dark, as if it had been burned by a fire. There was no sign of life. After countless years, even the big trees could not survive. A terrifying sense of danger shrouded the cliff as murderous intent radiated in all directions. There's a powerful creature. Yi Qinghan lowered his eyes and looked into the depths. The god-slaying eagle leaped down, and the multicolored snake coiled around the head of the god-slaying eagle. It flicked its forked tongue, and its eyes were captivating. Not only was it not afraid, its murderous intent was getting stronger. After reaching the bottom of the cliff, Yi Qinghan leaped down and walked forward with his saber. His eyes pierced through the void, and every step he took caused the cliff to shake. A strange roar shook the mountains and rivers. Sand and stones fell from the top, making rustling noises. A huge monster stepped out from behind a cloud of dense fog. It was shaped like a cow, had fangs like a wolf, and 4 limbs like a tiger. Its skin was protruding like mountain rocks, like unrefined iron. It was extremely sturdy, and its eyes shot out green light that was filled with greed and killing intent. What the hell is this? There's no such creature in this divine bird's memories. The parrot looked in front of it in astonishment. Swish, 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 the multicolored snake did not care what the other party was. As long as it was a dire beast, it was its food. It broke through the ground and shot towards the dire beast like an arrow. What? The fire crow revealed its true form and spat out a mouthful of fire. It drowned the bottom of the cliff, but it could not burn a single rock. Screech! The god-slaying eagle followed closely behind and pounced over. It flapped its wings, and its sharp claws shattered the mountain rocks. It grabbed at the back of the cow, wanting to grab it and throw it to death. The dire beast roared angrily, and its whole body trembled. A desolate force shot out in all directions, and its body was like an iron wall. The multicolored snake bit into the iron wall, and its teeth loosened as sparks flew. Kacha! An ear-piercing sound made the parrot feel nauseous. Yi Qinghan's skin almost burst open. Its defense was too strong. Yi Qinghan was well aware of the multicolored snake's attacks. Almost no one could block its attacks. This wild beast was only at the divine martial realm, but it was actually able to block the multicolored snake's attack. The multicolored snake's eyes were filled with tears. It had never gnawed on something so hard. It was as if it had gnawed on a monarch weapon. Its teeth almost broke, and it was in so much pain that it could not stop crying. The fire drowned the big iron bowl, but unfortunately, it did not cause any damage to it. Instead, it affected the multicolored snake's speed. The god-slaying eagle's sharp claws grabbed the back of the big iron bowl. Just as it was about to lift it up, it was ruthlessly flung away. The god-slaying eagle crashed into the mountain walls on both sides, causing rocks to fly in all directions. It was extremely terrifying. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He did not expect to encounter such a powerful creature here. Its defense and strength were so great that even the god-slaying eagle could not cause any damage to it. Screech! Yi Qinghan's azure dragon body erupted, and various major sources poured out and gathered in his body. He stomped on the ground and broke through the void with his saber, directly slashing at the dire beast. The dire beast roared angrily. It sensed danger and immediately turned its head, using the horns on its head to smash at the heavy manic saber. Boom! The horns and the heavy manic saber collided in an instant, sending shockwaves in all directions. They crashed into the broken cliffs on both sides, but they did not move at all. Only some rocks fell down. Thud, thud, thud. Yi Qinghan's chi and blood were in turmoil as he retreated dozens of steps. Blood flowed from the web between his thumb and forefinger. Even his azure dragon arm was broken. Roar! The dire beast let out a miserable cry. It felt as if its horns were about to break, and its body was like a kite with a broken string. It was ruthlessly smashed into the distance and rolled on the ground for hundreds of meters before coming to a stop. Then, it arched its body and roared at Yi Qinghan, its fangs trying to seize his soul. Yi Qinghan's 10 fingers trembled slightly. The piercing pain made him unable to sense the heavy manic saber. The opponent's defense and attack power were so great that it was terrifying. Attack its soul? The parrot whispered to remind him. This creature's defense was already heaven-defying. Yi Qinghan's saber strike was enough to split open the armor of a divine martial powerhouse, but it did not break through its defense at all. This meant that its soul must be very weak. The creator was fair. Yi Qinghan was startled. Only now did he remember that he specialized in soul techniques. He immediately put away the heavy manic saber, clasped his palms together, and mobilized his divine sense. He took a deep breath and roared out. A terrifying soul force accompanied by true essence poured out, smashing into the dire beast's sea of consciousness.
What?
Roar? Yi Qinghan's roar was like a dragon or a tiger. His aura soared to the heavens, breaking through space and time as he attacked the dire beast's sea of consciousness. The dire beast was shocked. Its divine sense suddenly felt as if it had been pierced by needles. It raised its head and roared, but Yi Qinghan's attacks were endless. His soul forcefully pierced into the dire beast's sea of consciousness, causing its sea of consciousness to turn dark. It screamed continuously as it rolled around on the ground. This creature was very powerful, but unfortunately, its soul defense was also very weak. When it fought against a soul expert, the difference in strength was obvious.
What?
The dire beast roared angrily as it struggled to pounce towards Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan mobilized all his strength. He could not retreat from this battle, or he would have to use the arch weapon. Yi Qinghan tapped his temple with his fingertips, once again absorbing divine sense and pouring it out. Kill! With a furious roar, he was like a god of war. His killing intent was dense, and his will was unstoppable. The dire beast was forced to kneel on the ground as it wailed incessantly. The multicolored snake took the opportunity to attack the dire beast's throat. Its fangs pierced through its windpipe and into its body. The god-slaying eagle grabbed its two horns and pulled it into the void. Its sharp mouth pierced into the dire beast's eyes, desperately absorbing its essence. Once the dire beast left the ground, it immediately lost its combat ability. Its legs struggled frantically, but it could not break free from the god-slaying eagle's restraint. After a long time, the dire beast went limp. The essence in its body had dissipated. Half of it had been plundered by the god-slaying eagle and the multicolored snake, leaving only a layer of skin and bones. It was thrown off the cliff by the god-slaying eagle. At this moment, the god-slaying eagle had become extremely powerful. The essence in the dire beast's body had been replenished in its brain. In the end, it had absorbed from the eyes. Even though the multicolored snake had devoured half of the dire beast's body, it had not absorbed as much essence as the god-slaying eagle. Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. His mental strength had been sucked dry, and he was exhausted. He collapsed on the ground and leaned against a huge rock. After a long time, he could barely open his eyes. He took out a round golden elixir from his heaven and earth ring and swallowed it. After his mental strength had been depleted, it increased at an especially fast rate. Yi Qinghan quickly recovered to his peak, following which he even showed signs of a breakthrough. The golden mental strength gathered in his sea of consciousness like a vast ocean, constantly rising and growing. The patterns of the Order Great Tao and the Great Tao of Yin and Yang became clearer. If he wanted to cultivate the Great Tao, his mental strength had to be strong. This was the foundation. After a long time, Yi Qinghan opened his eyes. His eyes shone with confidence. Willpower was the Order Great Tao. His understanding of the Order Great Tao had deepened by another level. Open! Yi Qinghan looked at the hard stone wall on the side of the cliff and muttered to himself in a low voice. What? The stone wall that the god-slaying eagle could not break actually separated automatically under his will. Order was re-established. The fire-slaying crow and the multicolored snake were shocked. Their eyes were filled with respect. They did not dare to go against Yi Qinghan's will anymore. At this moment, they were truly subdued. Master is mighty. The parrot was overjoyed. Yi Qinghan had given it too many surprises. Thinking back to when it first met him, he was not even 16 years old and did not know how to cultivate. Now that he had grown to such a level, this god-slaying spirit-devouring eagle was shocked. Order is to reorganize everything according to one's will. Yi Qinghan muttered in his heart. He clenched his fists and understood the true meaning of the Order Great Tao. Once the Order Great Tao reached the initial level, one could kill all opponents with one's willpower. Once it reached the final level, one could move mountains and fill seas like a great emperor. One grain of sand could sink the sky. His eyes looked down at the three powerful and gifted ferocious beasts. The multicolored snake lowered its head and did not dare to look directly at them. "Follow me. Let's see what is in the depths that can make a ferocious beast grow to such a level." Yi Qinghan whispered. Swish, swish, swish. Yi Qinghan led the 4 divine beasts and rushed into the depths. Chapter 334. The bottom of the cliff was dark and incomparably deep. As they walked along the bottom of the cliff, the mountain became harder and harder, turning from stone to iron. The parrot sat on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. It shook its head and said, "There are no more beasts here. There's no need to be so cautious. There seems to be iron ore in the depths. Where did this iron ore come from?" The deeper Yi Qinghan went, the higher the purity of the iron ores became. The amount of iron ores also increased. The temperature of the surroundings was initially icy cold, then gradually increased. Finally, the deeper Yi Qinghan went, the hotter it became. The fire crow was excited, but the rainbow snake was growling, unwilling to go any further. Yi Qinghan summoned it into his body and led the god-slaying eagle and fire crow deeper. Finally, a huge mountain range appeared in front of them. No, it could only be called an iron mountain range. It was barren, and there were only a few plants that looked like iron trees. "Aya, there really are iron trees." The parrot looked at the strange plants in astonishment. Yi Qinghan came to the side of the iron tree and probed it with his divine sense. He found that he couldn't see through its origin, and he couldn't change the combination of order with the grand Tao of order. "Get out of the way." Yi Qinghan summoned Berserk. His fingers gripped the hilt, and the azure dragon body erupted as he slashed at the iron tree. Boom. There was an ear-splitting boom. Berserk roared and shook continuously. Yi Qinghan was sent flying dozens of meters by the recoil. Berserk flew out of his hand, and blood flowed out of the azure dragon body. There were small wounds everywhere, but the wood origin quickly healed them. Cutting grass in the nest. What kind of iron tree is this? Why is it so dense? Yi Qinghan was a little dizzy from the shock, and he couldn't help but curse. "This is an excellent material for refining. Master, quickly take it away." The parrot shouted. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes and angrily rebuked, "If you have the ability, bite it off and I'll take it away." The parrot flapped its wings and said with an exasperated expression, "Idiot, use your sovereign weapon to chop this bastard up." Yi Qinghan's hand trembled, and his fingertips trembled. He wanted nothing more than to slap this bastard to death. The mortal sovereign sword had fallen for the sake of the human race, and the celestial battle sword had been given to Gu Qingyu. Was he supposed to use the divine martial monarch codex or the heavenly scripture of the Tao Si to smash Taishu? Yi Qinghan was speechless as he angrily reprimanded, "Shut up right now. I don't want you to talk, so don't talk." The parrot curled its lips and didn't utter another word. Yi Qinghan pondered for a long time before summoning his divine bow. He gathered his true essence and transformed it into a divine arrow. He pulled the bow and shot the sun. His body tensed up. Crescent moon, half moon, half moon. The bowstring continued to be pulled back. The bowstring tore through the space, and the Zhenyuan arrow shot out with a roar. It pierced through the void and directly pierced through the roots of the iron tree, creating a huge hole. Yi Qinghan had used up all his strength, and his true essence had dried up. He could only create a huge hole at the base of the iron tree. It could be seen how dense this strange iron tree was. However, Yi Qinghan wasn't shocked. Instead, he was delighted. Such a supreme treasure might be able to help Zhongquang evolve into a divine martial Tao soldier. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, Yi Qinghan swallowed a large number of level 7 recovery divine pills. His dried-up sea of qi surged again. His true essence roared and quickly recovered. Yi Qinghan was desperately trying to split these iron trees apart. However, he didn't know that there were many such strange iron trees in the depths. They were even thicker and stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles along the Iron Mountain. A mountain range filled with flames occupied the eastern wasteland. No matter how hard the iron was, it would be burned into liquid and flow outwards. This was how the Iron Mountain in the outside world was formed. This was the legendary Golden Crow Mountain, also known as the Mountain of Flames. The temperature was extremely high, enough to burn a boundary emperor to death. There shouldn't be any living creatures here, but that wasn't the case. A golden crow was like a scorching sun. Its feathers were dark gold. However, it was like a fish swimming in water here. It was desperately absorbing the fire essence to strengthen itself. The golden crow represented the sun. According to legends, the sun was transformed from the golden crow. When the golden crow grew to its strongest level, it would evolve into a scorching sun and rush into the void. They only had one child in their bloodline. After the little golden crow was born, the old golden crow would die and pass its essence to the little golden crow. This little golden crow in the Mountain of Flames was born not long ago. It was less than 200 years old. Compared to humans, it was only 7 or 8 years old. It was still young and inexperienced. At this moment, it was rolling in the Mountain of Flames. It curled up into a ball and rolled like a scorching sun, emitting a blazing light. At this moment, the little golden crow seemed to have sensed something. It actually left the Mountain of Flames and flew towards the Iron Mountain. It was precisely where Yi Qinghan was. Currently, the little golden crow's strength was equivalent to a peak immortal sect expert. However, it could instantly kill some divine martial experts. Once it curled up, its wings could block the attacks of peak divine martial experts. The flame essence in its body was far above the 7th grade. It was an 8th grade flame essence. Once it spat out flames, the fire crow would be instantly burned into nothingness. The little golden crow was very fast. There was hostility and curiosity in its eyes. It had lived in the Mountain of Flames for many years and had never seen a second creature. It was always full of curiosity and vigilance towards the outside world. It felt that its territory was being invaded by a foreign species and immediately rushed out to kill. The temperature around the mountain range suddenly increased. The little golden crow was tens of thousands of miles away. It quickly collapsed and appeared in Yi Qinghan's line of sight. Shit, the little golden crow. The parrot was shocked. Its eyes flickered and it wanted to retreat. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He didn't expect to alarm such a legendary existence here. Not only was their combat strength extraordinary, but they also knew the art of curses. However, no matter how powerful a cursed creature was, it would still suffer misfortune. The little golden crow flew over the mountain range and landed on an iron tree. It looked down at Yi Qinghan and the parrot with vigilance and curiosity in its eyes. "You've run into my territory. Hurry up and retreat, otherwise I'll be angry." The little golden crow spoke in a very young and tender voice. The corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. He faintly smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist must be the legendary divine sun bird, the golden crow? I am Yi Qinghan of the human race. I am just passing by and have no intention of invading your territory. Fellow Taoist, please rest assured." The parrot's eyes flickered. It transmitted its voice to Yi Qinghan and said, "This little golden crow is still young. There are many things that it is still ignorant of. Let me fool it for a while. Maybe I can obtain some lucky chances. Little brother, I've finally found you. I'm your big brother, the big golden crow." The parrot didn't wait for Yi Qinghan's permission. It rushed over and spoke in a tearful voice. Its acting was first class. At this moment, the god-slaying eagle and the fire crow were speechless. Could this parrot be any more despicable? How could a parrot and a golden crow be of the same series? Although their bodies were very similar and round, their feathers were not the same at all. The little golden crow was also confused. Since it was born, it had never seen a second golden crow. It turned its big eyes and looked curiously at the parrot. Then it looked at its feathers and asked doubtfully, "Why are your feathers white? They're different from mine." "Little brother, you've been in the Flaming Mountain for many years. You've been burned to this extent. Even your color has changed. I feel sorry for my little brother. I've been living in the snowy mountains for many years. Because of the environment, I've become a little whiter. So it's natural that you can't recognize me." The parrot kept approaching the little golden crow. Its acting was so realistic that Yi Qinghan was sweating profusely. Why wasn't this bastard afraid that the little golden crow would fly into a rage and directly burn it to death? "You're my big brother? My parents only gave birth to me. The little golden crow couldn't resist the parrot's deception. It was suddenly confused. We're from the same clan but from different mothers. My father left after he had sex with my mother. He said that he wanted to bring glory to our golden crow family. He came to the flaming mountain, and that's how you were born. The parrot said solemnly. Puff, Yi Qinghan tried hard to hold back his laughter. The fire crow's face twitched. It couldn't bear it anymore and directly laughed out loud. The parrot rolled its eyes and suddenly pointed at the fire crow and said, Look at it. It's very similar to us, but its bloodline isn't as strong as ours. Do you know why? The little golden crow was confused and shook its head to show that it didn't know. It's also our father's fault. He wanted to strengthen the golden crow family. He was so hungry that he couldn't be picky. He found a crow to give birth to a child. That's why we have this nondescript bloodline. The parrot smiled bitterly. The fire crow was furious and wanted to smash this bastard to death. However, it was stopped by Yi Qinghan. However, the parrot was right about one thing. The fire crow did have the golden crow's bloodline. The fire crow crown prince had more of the golden crow's bloodline, which immediately made the little golden crow have a good impression of him. So, it's my brothers. The little golden crow was in tears. It directly hugged the parrot and burst into tears. The parrot originally wanted to squeeze out 2 drops of tears to cooperate. However, after being hugged by the golden crow, it felt as if it was hugging a hot fireball. It almost caught on fire. The tearing pain made it scream and cry. It frantically struggled to break free from the golden crow's shackles. Its cry was simply earth-shattering. Yi Qinghan finally realized that something was wrong. The parrot's body was smoking. Its shrill scream pierced through the sky. It was about to be burned alive. He quickly said, You two have deep feelings for each other. Heaven and earth can bear witness. But don't hug it so tightly. Little brother, the parrot screamed. It wanted to push the golden crow away, but its body was emitting a delicious smell. It could be heard from far away. Seeing that it was about to be burned to death, it suddenly roared, Little brother, let go of me, quickly, I'm going to die. The little golden crow was confused and released its wings. It looked at the tears in the parrot's eyes and thought that it was moved. It didn't care that the parrot was smoking. Big brother, what's wrong? The golden crow whispered. Woo woo woo. The parrot wept bitterly. It shook its wings and said, Nothing. Big brother is just too moved. Ow ow. Yi Qinghan was cramping up with laughter. This lowly bird had finally kicked an iron plate. The god-slaying hawk coldly twitched its mouth. This was the first time it had seen the parrot suffer a loss. The fire crow gloated. Why are you smoking? Little golden crow seemed to ask on purpose. The parrot's mouth was full of white foam. It was so angry that it almost fainted. At this moment, it could only hold on. It clenched its teeth and said, I was born in the ice plains. Although my talent is extraordinary and I can use flame essences, I can't withstand such high temperatures. Oh, so that's how it is. Big brother, you're suffering. You don't have any flame essences to absorb. I'll take you to the flame mountain. I can give you half of my food. The little golden crow generously stretched out its small claws to grab the parrot. As a big brother, how can I steal my little brother's food? If you can go to the depths of the flame mountain and bring me some 8th grade flame essences, then this divine bird, Big brother, will be grateful. The parrot retreated again and again. Its refusal was straightforward and righteous. Chapter 3:35. The little golden crow and the parrot said goodbye with tears streaming down their faces. Yi Qinghan and the others climbed over the iron mountain and walked towards the center. At this time, the hostility from fate intensified. Yi Qinghan was sure that Nangong Powu was in the eastern wilderness. As long as he reached the human territory, he would be able to find him. Huanglin City was the largest city in the eastern wilderness. There were many powerful tribes around the city with a long history. Some tribes could even be traced back to the ancient and immemorial times. Even if a tribe had a history of tens of thousands of years, it would still be a terrifying tribe with a very pure bloodline. This was because they usually did not marry outside the tribe. There were at least a dozen tribes in the eastern wilderness that were more than 100,000 years old. Most of their totems were the golden crow, and some of them were powerful ferocious beasts like wolves and tigers. They treated these wild beasts as their guardian deities. The Sky Wolf tribe was not related to the Sky Wolf tribe of the Thousand Tribes. It was the most powerful tribe within hundreds of thousands of miles. However, in the eastern wilderness, it could only be considered a medium-sized tribe. Even so, the Sky Wolf tribe was like a super powerful force. It was slightly weaker than the Dao Realm Holy Land at its peak, but it was slightly better than the Zhan family's Dao Realm Holy Land. There were no cultivators above the false emperor realm, but there were many strong martial artists. The wolf was the tribe's guardian totem. The wolf flag fluttered in the wind. Outside the tribe, dozens of children were practicing martial arts. Their bodies were strong and vigorous. They practiced teamwork and cooperated with each other. They were very united. Yi Qinghan kept the three fierce beasts in his body and walked towards the tribe with the parrot. "Little Iron Wolf, you should go home and eat." A delicate and pretty girl of about 15 or 16 years of age was wearing animal skin and carrying a longbow on her back. Half of her slender legs were wrapped in animal skin, and they were as straight as two long spears. Her arms were thin and white, but they had terrifying explosive power. She was carrying a huge beast. She was a good hunter at such a young age. "Hee, sister, I can already explode with a strength of 1,000 gene. When I have 10,000 gene of strength, I can go hunting with you." Iron Wolf was only 7 or 8 years old, but he had the strength of the Sea of Qi realm. It was no wonder that the tribe had a wolf totem. "It doesn't matter. Cultivate well. Sister can handle it. Father is gone and mother is too busy at home. Don't think about practicing martial arts and hunting all day long. You have to help mother more, okay?" The young girl's voice was clear and gentle. Her face was young and tender, but there was an indescribable sense of maturity. She was the Purple Iron Wolf's elder sister, Zifi. She was a girl from a small branch of the Heavenly Wolf tribe and was also the youngest hunter in the surrounding several dozen kilometers. Because her father had died while hunting, she had no choice but to support the family by herself. Her experience since she was a child had shaped her temperament like a thunderbolt. She was mature and steady, had sharp insight, super fast reaction speed, and her ability to foresee danger in advance. This allowed her to support her family by hunting since she was 10 years old. In fact, Yi Qinghan had discovered her long ago and had been following her all this time. Only then did he walk out of the forest. Originally, he wanted to use her to leave the edge of the forest and head towards the big tribe. Suddenly, Zifi threw down the prey in her hands and protected the Iron Wolf. Before she even turned around, she knocked an arrow and shot it towards Yi Qinghan. Her movements were as smooth as moving clouds and flowing water, extremely confident and at ease. Whoosh! The arrow light pierced through the void. It had a strength of at least 10,000 genes. It drew out a trail of flames as it shot towards Yi Qinghan. Energy strength blew against his hair and even his immortal robes fluttered about. Zifi thought that there was a vicious beast behind her, so she suddenly knocked an arrow. She never thought that as she turned around, she would discover that her opponent was a handsome youth. But the arrow had already left the bowstring and escaped her control. She was immediately shocked. She quickly shouted out, "Get out of the way," but her arrow was far too fast as lightning. Yi Qinghan was startled. When he looked up again, the arrow had already approached his throat. Shwa! Yi Qinghan raised 2 fingers and caught the arrow. Energy strength blew against his hair, causing it to flutter backwards. Zifi and the Purple Iron Wolf's eyes widened. They had never seen such an exaggerated master before. With just 2 fingers, he was able to catch a speeding iron arrow. Yi Qinghan faintly smiled. He apologetically said, "I'm sorry for scaring you. I only lost my way in the forest and followed you out. I have no ill intentions." Zifi was shocked. She muttered, "No wonder I always felt that someone was watching me. So it was a senior like you. No wonder I couldn't discover you." Yi Qinghan was flabbergasted. This little girl in front of him was only at the Heavenly Passage realm, yet she could discover that he was following her. Was this a woman's sixth sense? He obviously wouldn't believe such an absurd reason. This little brat has such a strong spiritual sense. The parrot said in surprise. Yi Qinghan nodded. There were many talented people in this world. It was normal for one or two of them to appear. He had encountered the zither immortal crimson demon physique, the golden bloodline, and Di Long Tian. It was normal for him to encounter a strange physique. May I ask where the largest city is? Yi Qinghan tried his best to maintain a smile. He was afraid that he would arouse the hostility of the two children. The largest city is of course Huanglin City. Unfortunately, it's so far away. I've never been there. The purple iron wolf regretfully replied. Can you tell me where it is? Yi Qinghan immediately asked. Continue to head east. With Senior's foot strength, I estimate that you will arrive in half a month. However, looking at the sky, I advise you not to hurry. It will be very dangerous if you continue to walk. Zifei kindly reminded. Why? Yi Qinghan asked curiously. 150 kilometers east of my Iron Wolf tribe is a huge mountain range. It's occupied by a group of bandits called Eastern Cloud Stronghold. There are countless experts there who make a living by robbing. I heard that the strongest expert there is a great fake emperor. You people always kill foreigners before robbing. Zifei reminded him softly. Damn, a fake emperor is a bandit. Isn't it a bit of a waste of talent? The parrot was speechless. Yi Qinghan was also speechless. A false emperor could be an elder or even a supreme elder in a Dao realm holy land. Yet, he was a bandit in the Eastern Barren Territory. How strong was the Eastern Barren Territory? No wonder the experts of the Imperial region didn't want to come here. It was a bandit's nest. Is there another way to pass through? Yi Qinghan frowned. It was obvious that he didn't want to fight with a fake emperor. The divine martial imperial code was sometimes useful, but sometimes it was asleep. If it fell asleep and couldn't wake up, then it would be impossible to rely on the Dao Si heavenly scripture. This guy was still sulking. Yi Qinghan didn't even give him a chance to cultivate. No, this mountain range is full of bandits. If our tribe wants to enter the city, we have to pay a large amount of spirit crystals and natural treasures before they let us in. Zifei shrugged and replied. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. It seemed that he had to sneak into the Iron Wolf tribe and enter the city with the main group. When is the next time the Iron Wolf tribe enters the city? Yi Qinghan asked softly. We enter the city once every half a year. There is still half a month before the next time. Zifei hesitated for a moment but still told him the specific time. She didn't want to offend such a powerful existence. Half a month wasn't too long. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment and said, Is it possible for your tribe to take us in for a few days? When the time comes, we can enter the city together. I am willing to pay you spirit crystals as repayment. No, my Iron Wolf tribe has never taken in outsiders. In fact, the entire Heavenly Wolf tribe also doesn't take in outsiders. This is an unwritten rule. Zifei rejected Yi Qinghan's request without hesitation. The purple Iron Wolf's big eyes looked around. It pulled on Zifei's clothes and said softly, Sister, he is very powerful. Let him stay and let him teach me the secret technique. No, stop it. Do you want to be beaten? Zifei scolded softly. Sister, we don't have spirit crystals to invite an expert to teach us in the tribe. Now that we have one, you are still unwilling. The purple Iron Wolf was very dissatisfied. The Iron Wolf tribe was only a small branch of the Heavenly Wolf tribe. It was very weak. The strongest person was only a great martial saint. They didn't even have spirit crystals to invite an immortal realm expert to teach their disciples. Now that they had one, they didn't want it. Wasn't it a waste? What do you know? It's not like you don't know that the tribe doesn't allow outsiders to enter the village. If you continue to pester endlessly, be careful that Grandpa Clan Elder will spank you again. Zifei threatened in a soft voice. Although her voice was soft, it couldn't escape Yi Qinghan's ears. However, he didn't say anything. He wanted to sneak into the Iron Wolf tribe now because he wanted to enter the city with them in the future. Otherwise, if he appeared on the day they entered the city, the Iron Wolf tribe wouldn't agree to let him go with them. Look at that big brother. He keeps smiling and is so handsome. He must be a good person. The clan elder trusts you so much. Can't you say a few good words for him? This is related to my future development. If I can really cultivate it, our Iron Wolf tribe won't have to suffer so much. The purple Iron Wolf begged bitterly. It seemed that it really wanted to cultivate the secret technique. Sister, did you forget? A few days ago, the neighboring Iron Tiger tribe bullied us because we didn't have anyone. Their small tribe has an immortal gate cultivator and we don't. Do you have the heart? Zifei's expression changed slightly. She hesitated for a moment and looked at Yi Qinghan. She still didn't dare to take the risk. Yi Qinghan was too strong. If he was a bad person, even the clan elder wouldn't be his match. If you agree, I'll be happy to teach your little brother. I promise that I'll nurture him to the great martial saint realm within 15 days as long as he can withstand it. The corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth rose. If the purple Iron Wolf could really withstand his hellish training, not to mention the great martial saint realm in half a month, he could even reach the immortal gate realm. However, there weren't many people in this world who could withstand his hellish training. Senior, are you serious? Zifei was shocked. If he could cultivate to the great martial saint realm in half a month, wouldn't that alarm the Heavenly Wolf tribe and make them take the initiative to bring the Iron Wolf tribe to cultivate? I'm serious. You can also participate in the training. As long as you can withstand the hardships, reaching the great martial saint realm is actually very easy. Yi Qinghan promised with a smile. Senior, you really won't harm our village, right? Zifei asked cautiously. Haha, if I wanted to harm you, I wouldn't need to sneak into the tribe. I could instantly flatten this small tribe. I just want to pass through the city to find someone. Yi Qinghan said confidently. Zifei nodded slightly. Yi Qinghan's words weren't false. Even the clan elder wouldn't be able to catch her iron arrow with just 2 fingers. Chapter 336. Zifei's status in the Iron Wolf tribe seemed to be very high. When she received an outsider, the tribal elder actually nodded his head in approval. The hundreds of people in the tribe, big and small, all gathered around as if they were looking at a newly married wife. This made Yi Qinghan baffled. The parrot arrogantly raised its head, attracting many little fellows to chase after it. However, it was so arrogant that it didn't even care about them. Zifei's family only had 3 people. One of them was a middle-aged farmer woman who was very amiable. She didn't treat Yi Qinghan as an outsider and even specially added 2 more side dishes. Seeing this, the purple Iron Wolf drooled. It seemed like this family wasn't doing very well. Yi Qinghan simply ate a bit. These dishes didn't have much energy. If he wanted to pass his own hellish training, it seemed like he would have to give these 2 children more food. More. Later, you will say that you are hungry. Yi Qinghan smiled. He would be staying here for half a month anyway. As the saying goes, beat the children on a rainy day. Since he had nothing to do, teaching them a good lesson would be a good choice. At this moment, it was already night. The stars dotted the sky and the moonlight was like water. It poured down on this small tribe like it was daytime. The visibility was very high. After eating and drinking their fill, Zifei and the purple Iron Wolf were abnormally excited. They wanted to see what kind of secret techniques Yi Qinghan would teach them. The 3 of them arrived at the tribe's martial arts practice field. Yi Qinghan sat in an armchair and said to Zifei and the purple Iron Wolf, each of you choose an iron stone. Carry the stone and run around the martial arts practice field. Do your best and don't force yourself. Zifei was surprised. What kind of training was this? Only a normal martial master would do this. Yi Qinghan was such a powerful cultivator. He should at least teach them some decent secret techniques. Hurry up and run. Each of you will run 30 laps. Yi Qinghan's aura turned cold. His words were filled with determination. The siblings were startled by his aura. They turned around and each picked up a stone that weighed 250 jin and 100 jin respectively. They felt very relaxed, but before they could lift their legs, Yi Qinghan whispered, "Gravity law, 10 times the gravity." What? Boom. Zifa and the purple iron wolf almost fell to the ground. Their legs were as heavy as lead. Let alone running, even walking was difficult. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and said, "Looks like I'll have to give you guys something extra. Divine bird, breathe fire and chase after them. It's not your fault if they burn to death." The parrot laughed mischievously and shouted, "Understood." The parrot casually spat out a mouthful of fire. The temperature was extremely high. One could feel the terrifying temperature from far away. Zifei felt the danger. She immediately took a step forward and dashed forward. The purple iron wolf turned its head and saw the parrot closing in on it. It couldn't help but shiver. It dropped the stone and rushed out. 100 times gravity. Yi Qinghan muttered once more. The purple iron wolf's body sank and its speed dropped once more. The parrot unhurriedly followed behind. Whoever lagged behind, it would spit out a mouthful of fire, burning a large hole in the purple iron wolf's butt. It was bright red, and it was even more painful than being hit by an iron plate. "You guys can give up. Don't cultivate in the future." Yi Qinghan sat on a wooden armchair with his eyes closed. He seemed to be resting, but he was actually bitterly cultivating the Order Grand Dao. Zifei was still fine. She had suffered the same hardships as Yi Qinghan when he was young. In addition, her cultivation had already reached the grotto heaven realm. At this moment, she was clenching her teeth and running for her life. The energy essence in her body was quickly being consumed. The purple iron wolf was in a difficult situation. After all, it was too small. Although it wasn't hugging a stone, it still wasn't easy to run. 1 lap, 2 laps. At the 5th lap, the purple iron wolf was on the verge of collapse. This was simply hell. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to endure it. For it to be able to endure 5 laps, its willpower was quite good. Zifei had already overtaken the purple iron wolf by 1 lap. Seeing that her younger brother was about to give up, she couldn't help but say, "Don't you want to cultivate? Are you going to give up? Do you still want the wish you made when you were young? Let me remind you that Senior's method is very effective. I can feel my strength increasing, rapidly increasing." As Zifei finished speaking, she continued to wildly run. Her energy had dried up, but she was still desperately relying on her willpower. At the 8th lap, her true essence was rapidly restoring itself. The surrounding spiritual energy crazily rushed towards her, drilling into her body on its own accord. Yi Qinghan certainly wouldn't allow them to crazily cultivate like this. This would only consume their root source and wouldn't be beneficial to their future cultivation. Thus, he laid down a massive spirit gathering array around the martial stage. Several hundred high-grade spirit crystals were piled up, and the spiritual energy here was extremely rich. 4 hours later, Zifei was the first to complete her mission. Her true essence was at least 3 times purer than before, and her combat strength had increased by several times. She was particularly excited. She respectfully stood in front of Yi Qinghan and said, "Senior, my mission is complete. Bring a clean wooden barrel and fill it with water." Yi Qinghan calmly ordered without opening his eyes. Zifei left without hesitation. "Fire Crow, give me a drop of blood essence." Yi Qinghan called out the Fire Crow Crown Prince. In terms of bloodline energy, the Fire Crow was the worst, so it was most suitable for this pair of siblings. As for the God-slaying eagle and the multicolored snake, even if their blood essence was diluted several times, it would still instantly erase the vitality of Zifei and the purple iron wolf. The Fire Crow didn't dare to hesitate. He directly forced out a drop of blood essence and gave it to Yi Qinghan. The blood was golden and incomparably smooth, filled with energy. Zifei quickly brought over a barrel of water and respectfully stood beside Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan placed the blood essence into the barrel and used his true essence to stir it. Then he said, "Drink a bowl and continue running with the stone. This time, 60 laps must be completed within 2 hours." Zifei could feel that this drop of blood essence was extremely powerful. It was absolutely a treasure, so she drank a bowl without hesitation. A terrifying strength filled her limbs and bones, and her body became several times stronger. There was an inexhaustible strength waiting for her to pour out. Ho! Zifei picked up the iron stone and crazily rushed forwards. Her speed was at least twice as fast as before. Miserable screams constantly echoed throughout the martial stage. The parrot deliberately increased its speed, chasing after the purple iron wolf and causing him to howl in pain. The speed became faster and faster, to the point that the purple iron wolf was unable to withstand it. Senior, please make that bird slow down. The purple iron wolf's miserable screams were enough to make anyone cry. But these screams also aroused the parrot's interest in tormenting him. Not only did the parrot not slow down, but it actually increased its speed. At this moment, the purple iron wolf understood what a hellish training was. He could fall into hell at any moment. With great difficulty, the purple iron wolf finally completed his mission and collapsed to the ground. But the parrot directly chased after him. It used ordinary flames to spray out, directly igniting the purple iron wolf's but in causing him to jump 3 feet into the air. You broken bird, I've already run 30 laps. The purple iron wolf angrily roared. Drink half a bowl and keep running. Yi Qinghan's aura chilled as he stared at the purple iron wolf. The purple iron wolf was very afraid of Yi Qinghan's gaze. It was too cold, too emotionless, and filled with a callous will. It extinguished the fire on its butt and limped towards the wooden barrel. After drinking half a bowl of diluted blood essence water, its strength suddenly increased several times. It felt like it could punch out with 2,000 genes of strength. It couldn't even feel the pain on its butt. 60 laps in 2 hours. If you're slow for even a single breath, you'll be penalized 60 laps. Yi Qinghan closed his eyes once more. Within his spiritual sea, the miniature person was cultivating with all its might, not slacking off in the slightest. As it ran, the purple iron wolf directly broke through, reaching the blood ignition realm. Whether it was his body or his true essence, both were strengthened by a great deal. At this moment, the purple iron wolf was excited as it felt the benefits. It happily ran, no longer needing the parrot to chase after it. But the parrot sped up. Every time the purple iron wolf sped up, it would always be able to push the purple iron wolf to a new limit. The parrot was addicted to teaching the purple iron wolf a lesson, and even taught Zifei a lesson. Zifei was also driven crazy, constantly breaking through her limits and breaking through small realms, rushing towards the Fate Palace realm. For an entire night, every time they completed a task, they would drink a bowl of diluted blood essence water. The parrot forced the purple iron wolf to the peak of the blood ignition realm, and it went straight towards the heavenly cave realm. As for Zifei, she rushed to the first step of the Fate Palace realm. At this moment, it was already the darkness before dawn. The two of them were progressing very quickly, but their legs were numb and they trembled as they walked, unable to continue. Yi Qinghan felt that it was about time, so he said, "Divide up the last of the water and go back to rest. When the sun rises, I hope you two will arrive at the martial arts arena before me." After Yi Qinghan finished speaking, he turned and walked towards the guest room that the tribe had arranged for him. The siblings' faces were deathly pale. Zifei had never thought that her limit would be like this. Although she was excited, she was also exhausted. Even after drinking a bowl of fire crow blood essence water, she still couldn't recover. All she wanted to do was lie on the ground and sleep. You two are too weak. If you can't even endure this little bit of suffering, how can you become a talent? The parrot boasted shamelessly, clicking his tongue in ridicule. The purple iron wolf glared at the parrot. He always felt that this fellow was doing this on purpose. Every time, it would only burn his butt, and it would always be on the same spot. He was already injured, and now he didn't even dare to sit. That kind of heart-wrenching pain caused him to cry. Zifei's fighting spirit was aroused. For better or worse, she was the flower of the tribe within a radius of several hundred miles, and her strength was also the strongest of the younger generation. How could she let a little bird look down on her? She immediately raised her head, pretending that she still had energy left, and walked towards her courtyard. It had to be said that the parrot's trick was quite effective. Even the purple iron wolf was enraged. He carried the wooden bucket and limped towards his room. After returning home, Zifei could no longer pretend. She fell into a deep sleep on her bed. As for the purple iron wolf, he was sobbing in a low voice. He didn't know whether to lie down or lie down. The next day, Zife woke up early. After washing her face and rinsing her mouth, she felt that her body was strong and healthy. Her strength had increased by dozens of times. The strength of a single arrow was enough to shoot several thousand meters away. At this moment, she no longer dared to doubt Yi Qinghan's hellish training. She forcefully dragged the purple iron wolf to the martial practice field. She discovered that there were already people cultivating there, and Yi Qinghan was walking towards the martial practice field with the parrot. "Senior, good morning," Zifei and the purple iron wolf said in unison. "First, run 100 laps. You have 2 hours. After you're done, I'll take you out to hunt," Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. 100 laps in 2 hours was a relatively fast speed. The two of them didn't hesitate to turn around and rush towards the martial practice field. They ran as if their lives depended on it. Under Yi Qinghan's instructions, the parrot directly flew onto Zifei's shoulder. It was so heavy that she couldn't move an inch, but she had no choice but to grit her teeth and continue forward. The purple iron wolf let out a breath of turbid air and crazily rushed forward. He was afraid that the parrot would latch onto him. Chapter 337. 2 hours later, many children had gathered around them. Even the adult hunters of the Iron Wolf tribe were attracted. Over the course of a single night, the changes that the siblings had undergone were too shocking. Not only had their cultivation levels undergone earth-shattering changes, even their battle prowess had become completely different. They were very curious about Yi Qinghan's origins and were even more respectful of him. Yi Qinghan treated them with a smile. After all, he still had a favor to ask of them in half a month. He then led the 2 kids out of the tribe. Each of them held an iron bow but did not bring any arrows. They directly entered the forest. Learn to use your quintessential essence reasonably. Use your quintessential essence as arrows and kill 10 desolate beasts of the same realm in 6 hours. Do not waste your quintessential essence because I will not save you if your quintessential essence is exhausted. You should learn to struggle on the edge of death and break through the line between life and death in order to survive, Yi Qinghan said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Zifei was fine, but the purple iron wolf could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Although he used to yearn to become a powerful hunter and hunt powerful desolate beasts, he was a little afraid without someone to lead him. "Go in. I will wait for you here. If you cannot complete the mission in 6 hours, then we will continue for another 6 hours with 10 more desolate beasts. So on and so forth until you complete the mission or..." Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged on a mountain rock. He did not care about them at all, as if he really did not care if they lived or died. Zifei knew that using quintessential essence as arrows consumed a lot of energy. She could not help but worry about the purple iron wolf. "Let's split up. Hurry up. One of us will face south and the other will face north," Yi Qinghan said indifferently. The 2 of them walked deeper into the forest. One of them wanted to kill Fate Palace Realm Desolate Beasts while the other wanted to kill Blood Ignition Realm Desolate Beasts. Besides an iron bow and a dagger, they had nothing else. "Divine Bird, you follow the purple iron wolf. Fire Crow, you follow Zifei. Stir up the desolate beasts around them. Do not interfere unless it is a matter of life and death." "Understood." Fire Crow and Divine Bird disguised themselves as ordinary birds and rushed towards the 2 of them. They stirred up the wind and rain, driving a large number of low-grade desolate beasts around them. The 2 of them fell into a desperate situation. They rolled on the ground, shuttled through the forest, and fought at close range. Blood splattered everywhere. They wanted to increase the distance between them, but they couldn't. At this moment, the periphery of the forest was like hell. Large numbers of low-ranked beasts had perished, but the injuries they had suffered were not light either. Even if a desolate beast bit them, it was not something they could withstand. Tai Lang did not have any actual combat experience and was quickly injured. However, the more he fought, the more courageous he became. Dodging and shifting, climbing trees, everything became his life-saving means. Occasionally, he would find an opportunity to strike and kill with a single strike. In just a short while, he had killed a few inferior ferocious beasts and a blood ignition realm desolate beast. Zifu was worthy of being called the most outstanding hunter within a radius of 100 li. Her ability to foresee danger had reached the pinnacle. Her speed was extremely fast, and her attacks were sure to kill. In her hands, she was even more proficient in using the small dagger than a powerful assassin. Yi Qinghan's divine sense covered a radius of 100 miles and saw her advantage. Sometimes, her close-range killing techniques were even better than his. Perhaps this was a life-saving technique that she had honed after so many years of life and death experiences. Assassin's art? Perhaps after practicing it to the pinnacle, I can find another way to prove my Tao. Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment. In the entire imperial region, there was not a single powerful assassin. Only a few small stars would have assassin's art. However, their cultivations were very weak. They only learned assassin's art to kill people and earn money. Yi Qinghan's thoughts lingered in his mind. Speaking of assassin's art, he suddenly thought of a secret technique that was extremely suitable for assassins. Especially for a close-range combat expert like Zifu. Heavenly Dragon Coiling Eagle Hand. Zifu and the Purple Iron Wolf both had the sharp insight of a wolf. They also had the explosive strength and endurance of a wolf. Otherwise, they would not have been able to last night. Assassins needed such talent. Wolves were the best assassins in the world. The two of them did not disappoint Yi Qinghan. 2 hours later, the two of them were bathed in a river of blood. Their bodies were covered in wounds. They had killed over a dozen beasts of the same level. Especially Zifu. She had killed nearly all the ferocious beasts that approached her. She brought their demon cores, fur, and flesh back to the edge of the forest. "Senior, I have completed my mission," Zifu said excitedly. "Senior, I have also returned." The Purple Iron Wolf was so confident that he could not tell north from south. This was his first hunt, and he had a bountiful harvest. It seemed like his future would be limitless. "It's too early for you to be happy. What kind of mission is this?" "It's just a warm-up. The next step is that within 2 hours, Zifu, you have to kill a Dao Sovereign Realm wild beast. Purple Iron Wolf, you have to kill a Grotto Heaven Realm ferocious beast." There was no gap between missions. Each mission was more terrifying than the last. This time, they could lose their lives at any moment. At this moment, the god-slaying eagle returned to Yi Qinghan's side and bowed. "Master, the location has been chosen. Do you want me to bring them over now?" "Bring them over," Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Shua. The god-slaying eagle grabbed the two and soared into the sky, throwing them into 2 adjacent valleys. Zifu and the Purple Iron Wolf were stunned for a moment. When they looked up, their bodies tensed up. There was a powerful wild beast in front of them. In front of Zifu was a 5th-grade wild beast, the sky-bearing leopard. It was equivalent to a Dao Sovereign Realm beast. In front of the Purple Iron Wolf was a 3rd-grade wild beast, the ordinary Iron Tiger. The 2 wild beasts did not give each other a chance to react. They directly pounced over with sharp claws and fangs. Shua. Zifu rolled and dodged with a dagger in her hand. She knelt on one knee and looked at the sky-bearing leopard in front of her. This creature was extremely fast. Its sharp claws were like a 5th-grade top sword. It was indestructible and there was nothing it could not break. Once it was proven to be an attack, it could instantly kill Zifu. Close-range combat. This was Yi Qinghan's request. Zifu did not compromise. Therefore, she did not escape. Vital essence gathered in her body. Her nerves were tense. Her eyes were black and translucent. Her hair fell to her shoulders. Her jade-like hand grasped the dagger tightly and she growled. "Kill." Whoosh, a cold light flashed. Zifu took the initiative to pounce on the sky-bearing leopard. The sky-bearing leopard also suddenly became violent. Its fangs went straight for her head. Its bloody mouth could almost swallow a cow. Zifu bent her legs and slid over the sky-bearing leopard's body. Her dagger fiercely stabbed at the sky-bearing leopard's throat. The sky-bearing leopard's reaction was extremely fast. It suddenly raised its head and dodged the fatal blow. However, directly flipped her hand and stabbed the dagger into its foreleg in an instant. Puff! The defense of the sky-bearing leopard's inner foreleg was extremely poor. Used all her strength to break the defense. The sky-bearing leopard's blood splattered everywhere. The sky-bearing leopard roared and screamed. Its movements were restricted. Zifei's manic heart finally calmed down. If she could injure the opponent, she could kill. Yi Qinghan's divine sense covered the two valleys. He found that the close-range combat ability of these two people was beyond his imagination. They were almost natural hunters. With a little training, Kuang Zong would definitely have 2 more sharp swords. He could unsheath his sword and cut the throat. Yi Qinghan's hands swiped in the air. A piece of dark gold iron appeared in his hand. The 7th-grade flame source wrapped around it and slowly melted it. The molten iron actually formed 2 sharp daggers under Yi Qinghan's will. They were slightly longer than an adult's palm. They could be hidden in the sleeves and could be stabbed into the enemy's throat. Yi Qinghan forced out 2 drops of dragon blood and directly poured them into the daggers. The daggers became sentient. Without the smelting divine furnace, Yi Qinghan could refine artifacts. Now, he could apply what he learned from the origin of fire and the great Tao of order. The order of all substances had to follow Yi Qinghan's will. The 7th-grade flame source continued to burn the daggers. All the impurities were removed. The daggers were sharp enough to cut through iron like mud. They were only slightly weaker than Berserk and definitely not weaker than other 7th-grade divine weapons. The origin of water, origin of wood, origin of metal, and origin of darkness were all gathered. It also contained a trace of order great Tao and could repair itself. It was definitely extremely powerful. From a certain perspective, its grade was higher than Berserk's. After a long time, Yi Qinghan transferred a large amount of water elements to lower the temperature. The daggers were black and shiny. If used at night, the enemy would not be able to detect them at all. Go! Yi Qinghan whispered. His will reached the valley. The 2 daggers broke through time and space and stabbed into the mountain. They did not shatter a single rock, which showed how sharp they were. The wild beast and Zifei both noticed the daggers. They could tell at a glance that they were not ordinary items. They were a fatal threat to them. The purple iron wolf was like a wolf. Its small body easily dealt with the iron tiger's attacks. It slowly retreated in the direction of the daggers. The iron tiger would not allow the little brat in front of it to grab the daggers. Its sharp claws shattered rocks as it pounced towards the purple iron wolf. Chua! The iron tiger's speed was extremely fast. The purple iron wolf was in imminent danger and could die at any moment. Although it was shocked, it was not at a loss of what to do. The calmer it was, the greater its chances of survival would be. This kind of child who had lived in the mountains since childhood was very familiar with hunting procedures. He had listened to the experiences of his parents since he was young. The purple iron wolf paid no attention to the iron tiger and directly pounced towards the daggers. By the time its small hand grabbed the daggers, the iron tiger had already arrived in front of it. Logically speaking, it should have rolled forward, but according to this line of thought, its speed would not be faster than the iron tiger's and it would only fall into the tiger's mouth. The purple iron wolf did the opposite and directly rolled towards the iron tiger. One was moving forward, while the other was retreating. The man and tiger crossed each other, only a hair's breadth away. The purple iron wolf's entire body trembled, but it still grinned. In another valley, Zifei stepped on a rock and pulled out her daggers. A gale swept past her from behind, causing her back to feel a stabbing pain. Her legs constantly climbed up, and with a somersault, she leapt into the air. Her head was facing downwards, and the daggers stabbed towards the sky-high leopard's back without hesitation. The sky-high leopard cried out in pain and increased its speed to escape. The daggers had directly cut open its back, causing blood to immediately flow out. It had almost been split in 2 by the daggers. Boom! Zifei's feet landed on the ground. Taking advantage of the situation, she chased after it. The daggers were incomparably sharp. They broke through the air and instantly cut open the sky-high leopard's right hind limb. The sky-high leopard cried out again. Its hind limbs were powerless, and it directly fell to the ground. Zifu, it did not hesitate to stab the daggers into the sky-high leopard's throat. With a forceful swipe, the sky-high leopard's head was lifted up by her and separated from its body. Blood poured out, and the vigorous essence blood was like a flame burning her body. Her fine white skin instantly turned crimson red, and the heart-wrenching pain caused her to almost faint. In another valley, the purple iron wolf was dragging the huge iron tiger and rushing back, grinning. "Big sister, I killed an iron tiger. It's worth dozens of low-grade spirit crystals, ha!" Chapter 338. Outside the forest, Yi Qinghan looked at the excited siblings, and the corners of his mouth slightly rose. "Laugh for a while, you won't be able to laugh later." The parrot looked at Yi Qinghan's strange smile, and knew that these two little guys were going to be miserable. Fair and Purple Iron Wolf immediately calmed down, and looked at Yi Qinghan with a worried expression. "If I take you out of this tribe and go to the outside world to develop and climb to the top of the Great Tao, are you willing to go?" Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. "I am willing to go." Purple Iron Wolf had obtained benefits, so how could he be willing to leave Yi Qinghan? Fair was very mature, and after hesitating for a moment, she raised her head and asked in a dignified manner, "Can I take my mother with me? I don't feel at ease leaving her alone in the tribe." Yi Qinghan nodded. It was just an old woman, and Kuang Zong could still take care of her. As long as they took away these two swords, there would be no problem. Fair and Purple Iron Wolf's combat ability was superb, and no matter how good a person's talent was, without combat ability, they were all trash. "Then I am also willing to go." Fair nodded and said seriously. Yi Qinghan was very satisfied, not only because Fair and Purple Iron Wolf were willing to go, but also because Fair was very filial, and she would not betray him in the future. "Have you killed anyone?" Yi Qinghan indifferently asked. Fair and Purple Iron Wolf's complexion slightly changed. They were just ordinary tribesmen. How could they have killed anyone? What? Yi Qinghan instantly invaded their sea of consciousness and made them fall into an illusion. The Iron Wolf tribe was massacred, their mother died tragically, and their clansmen were killed. Their faces were ferocious, and they crazily rushed into the battlefield to kill their enemies. Their inch-long swords were used to cut the throats of their enemies, and the dark element instantly erased their life force. They fought all the way, and their killing was unparalleled. Suddenly, the entire Iron Wolf tribe was turned into a hell on earth, and bones were piled up like mountains, and blood flowed like a river. After a long time, Yi Qinghan stopped controlling their sea of consciousness and let them out of the illusion. Fair and Purple Iron Wolf's stomach churned, and they wanted to vomit, and their faces were deathly pale. What does it feel like to kill people? If you can end this catastrophe ahead of time, will you kill these enemies without hesitation? Yi Qinghan asked calmly. The two of them nodded without hesitation. The strong are destined to advance by stepping on corpses. Killing one is a sin, killing 10,000 is a hero. Killing 1,000,000 along the way, then you can save the entire endless universe. Of course, when I say kill, I'm not talking about killing the innocent. I'm talking about killing the enemy. Regardless of whether there is hatred or not, the enemy is the enemy. Yi Qinghan's aura sank as he spoke coldly. The two of them didn't seem to understand, but they kept nodding their heads. "I'll teach you a secret technique. It's a close-range combat technique, Heavenly Dragon Eagle Binding Hands." Yi Qinghan slowly got up and began to use the Heavenly Dragon Coiling Eagle Hands. This set of movements was slow and orderly, like moving clouds and flowing water. It seemed light and powerless, but in reality it was impossible to shake it off. Fair and the Purple Iron Wolf widened their eyes as they stared intently at Yi Qinghan. They watched as his speed became faster and faster. His body was like a heavenly dragon, like a coiling snake. His large hands could instantly burst out with terrifying strength that could pierce through space and time. Yi Qinghan repeated it 3 times, and the two of them memorized it by heart. Learn it in 2 hours and comprehend the profoundness within it, Yi Qinghan said calmly. This was a difficult and dry secret technique. Even the elites of the elites might not be able to learn it in 2 hours. Yi Qinghan obviously didn't expect the two of them to learn it, but they had to at least understand the profoundness of this secret technique as well as the close-range combat techniques. The two of them began to cultivate at the same time. They treated each other as their opponents and fought in a decent manner. Yi Qinghan gestured for the god-slaying eagle to search for more desolate beasts. He was prepared to polish these two sharp swords. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan suppressed Zi Feier's realm and coldly said, "You are opponents, enemies. Use your full strength and kill. Don't worry, I won't die in front of you. If you aren't willing to work hard, the people you care about will die in the hands of others." Zi Feier and the Purple Iron Wolf had complete faith in Yi Qinghan. They instantly attacked each other. Daggers constantly slashed across their throats and chests. The situation was precarious. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, learn how to control your quintessential essence. Learn how to use the least amount of quintessential essence to erupt with the greatest strength. These are not things that I can teach you. They are things that you will comprehend when you are on the brink of life and death. The Heavenly Dragon Coiling Eagle Hands contains the inch strike technique, coiling, sticking, speed, space, and various other profoundness. Once you learn them, you will be able to jump realms to fight at close range. Yi Qinghan's training methods were extremely cruel. As he said, this was a hellish training where one could die at any moment. The two of them became increasingly fast. They attacked, cut throats, blocked, attacked, dodged, twisted, coiled, stuck, and erupted with the inch strike technique. Afterimages constantly appeared and their combat strength rapidly rose. Their quintessential essence became purer and the speed at which it was consumed also slowed down. Yi Qinghan held his hands behind his back. He was very satisfied as he saw their rapid progress. As long as their realms could keep up, he believed that these two ordinary mortal bodies wouldn't be any worse than those with special constitutions. Once they fought in close range, it was unknown just who would live and who would die. An hour later, the two of them had skillfully used the Heavenly Dragon Coiling Eagle Hands. The speed at which they comprehended it far surpassed Yi Qinghan's imagination. To fight in close range, not only do you need to have better combat skills than others, but you also need to have the ability to resist. Otherwise, if you can stab someone 10 times and they don't die, then you will die with a single punch. What is the point of fighting then? Come here and eat these 2 pills. I don't want you to increase your realms. Use them to temper your quintessential essence, body, and organs. Yi Qinghan summoned the 2 little guys and took out 2 fifth-grade pills. He directly injected them into their bodies and took the initiative to help them suppress their realms. No matter how much quintessential essence surged in their bodies, it couldn't shake the shackles. Their chi seas were constantly opened up. Their quintessential essence was pure, tearing their bodies apart and causing blood to flow. Yi Qinghan allowed them to develop on their own. He didn't help to repair them. The two of them enjoyed the pain. Their bodies and quintessential essence had undergone a qualitative change. Their chi seas had become vast and boundless. Boom! Blood flowed like 10,000 horses galloping, rushing to their limbs and bones. Their faces twisted, but their yearning for power made them endure. They allowed their blood to gush out and their blood cells to madly produce blood. As long as they could endure this, they would definitely be reborn. The god-slaying eagle returned. Seeing that the 2 kids could actually withstand Yi Qinghan's hellish training, it couldn't help but nod in appreciation. After another hour, Yi Qinghan felt that their bodies and blood had been transformed to the peak. Even their chi seas didn't increase. He released the suppression. The Purple Iron Wolf instantly broke through the Grotto Heaven realm and entered the second step of the Fate Palace realm. Take them to train. Today, we have to kill 10 cross-level ferocious beasts, Yi Qinghan said and disappeared into a forest. He cultivated the Order Dao and comprehended the precepts. The order near the Iron Wolf tribe was changing, and so was the fate. Yi Qinghan stood on the peak of the mountain, his clothes fluttering. The little people in his consciousness were cultivating various powerful secret techniques, while his real body only studied the order Tao. The order was gradually becoming clear. Yi Qinghan glanced around. The mountains moved, the trees withered, and a grain of sand could fill a mountain range. Everything was silent. After a long time, Yi Qinghan's soul was tired and his spiritual energy was exhausted. He had to sit cross-legged on the ground to cultivate the origin of the Tao, which required a strong spiritual energy as support. While recovering his spiritual energy, Yi Qinghan didn't want to waste time. He summoned his divine bow and continuously pulled the bowstring. Although he could only pull the bowstring in a half-moon shape, he improved a little with each pull. His azure dragon arm tightened and his vital essence roared. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's vital essence condensed into a small arrow, carrying a strand of his consciousness to the sky above untainted land. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared into nothingness. His consciousness flew higher and higher until it reached the peak of the firmament. What's at the end of the universe? Yi Qinghan indifferently sensed everything that the strand of consciousness saw. It was a silent void. The arrow brushed past the edge of the stars and gradually disappeared. It was said that the great emperor was powerful and supreme, the number one person in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, no one had ever reached the other side of the universe. What was at the deepest part of the universe? Even the great emperor didn't know. If the universe had an edge, what was beyond the universe? Yi Qinghan had thought about it before, but it was too far-fetched to think about it now. This was because even the great emperor couldn't step onto the edge of the universe, much less him, who was only at the 5th stage of the immortal gate. At noon, Yi Qinghan roasted some desolate beast meat. The meat was filled with the power of untainted land. These bloodlines had been passed down for a long time and had never intermarried with the races of the outside world. They were the purest desolate beasts. The 2 little guys ate a lot. The consumption of energy in the morning was unimaginable. If they didn't replenish their qi and blood, they would consume their origin qi and blood. This would be a fatal blow to their future growth. Zifei looked at Yi Qinghan expectantly. She hoped that there would be a better training plan in the afternoon. This kind of training could not only increase her strength, but also allow her to hunt. The desolate beasts that she had hunted in the morning were enough for her to work for half a year. It could sustain her family for a long time. The purple iron wolf ate a lot of meat. He wiped his mouth and said excitedly, "Senior, I killed a Fate Palace realm desolate beast. Don't be proud. This is nothing. There are still 9 more desolate beasts in the afternoon," Yi Qinghan replied indifferently. After eating, Yi Qinghan taught them how to restrain their aura and conceal their presence. Stir up the desolate beasts in the periphery and form a beast tide of a certain scale. Throw the 2 of them in. After Yi Qinghan finished speaking, he went to cultivate alone. The rest of the matters were left to the parrot and the god-slaying eagle. Beast tide? Zifei was shocked. Even if it was a normal beast tide, it would require a few tribes to work together to repel it. Yi Qinghan wanted a beast tide of a certain scale. Wouldn't it be chaos? The god-slaying eagle only followed orders. A large number of desolate beasts rushed over from the depths. The weakest one was a 3rd-grade desolate beast at the Grotto Heaven realm. Most of them were 4th-grade desolate beasts. There were also quite a number of low-grade desolate beasts. Fire Crow and Divine Bird each guarded 1 person. They desperately increased their training intensity and angered the desolate beasts at all costs. They increased the intensity of their hellish training so that they could feel the threat of death and be mentally tense. Several tribes outside noticed the beast tide and sent people to investigate. However, they were chased away by the god-slaying eagle. The 2 of them cultivated hard for an entire afternoon. They were physically and mentally exhausted and had wounds all over their bodies. However, these injuries were nothing to Yi Qinghan. He could heal them with a wave of his hand. Within a day, the purple iron wolf had reached the 2nd step of the Grotto Heaven realm while Zifei had reached the 3rd step of the Fate Palace realm. Their combat strength had increased by more than 1,000-fold. Zifei had even obtained a 6th-grade elixir that was priceless. Chapter 339. Let's go back. Yi Qinghan was not interested in this level of precious medicine. He felt that it was about time, so he took the initiative to help them bring back the wild beasts they had killed. The countless wild beasts' corpses shocked the Iron Wolf tribe. These wild beasts were already half a year's harvest for the tribe. The clan elder was a peak great martial revered expert. He was a white-haired old man who was past his prime. He personally walked out and looked at Yi Qinghan and respectfully said, "I didn't know Senior was coming. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you." "It's okay. I was just passing by. In half a month I will go to the city with you. I hope the clan elder can agree." Yi Qinghan indifferently replied. "Naturally, there is no problem." The old man did not dare to go against Yi Qinghan's will and promptly replied, "Grandpa clan elder, we have enough savings for this year." "What is this?" Zifei took out a 6th grade medicine as if she was presenting a treasure. It was a medicine that could prolong one's life. However, it was only useful for those below the immortal realm. Even so, its price was priceless. In a small tribe, it was already a priceless treasure. The Iron Wolf tribe had a rule that anyone who obtained a treasure above 5th grade must hand it over to the Iron Wolf tribe. However, this was not for free. The Iron Wolf tribe would give a large amount of rewards. Everyone was treated equally. Even if the clan elder obtained a treasure, he also had to hand it over. Zifei's father had passed away early. She had relied on the tribe's help. The help came from some powerful hunters who had obtained treasures after selling them. Zifei was grateful to the tribe, so she did not hesitate to hand over the treasure. Yi Qinghan did not care. After all, he had a lot of 6th grade medicine and a few 7th grade pills. However, he did not know that Zifei had brought a lot of trouble to the Iron Wolf tribe by taking out a spirit herb in front of everyone. The clan elder's complexion changed. The entire Iron Wolf tribe had existed for 1,000 years and had only obtained a 6th grade medicine once. It had been properly handled. Only then did they have the foundation of a great martial revered expert. The clan elder quickly put away the medicine. The tribesman's complexion changed. "Congratulations, Elder Tai. Congratulations, Elder Tai. You actually obtained such a treasure. There is hope for the immortal realm." A voice resounded. The Iron Wolf tribe's people's complexion immediately changed. Yi Qinghan looked up and saw a few people walking out from the side of the Iron Wolf tribe. Judging from their attire, he knew they weren't from the Iron Wolf tribe. The people of the Iron Tiger tribe had always been at odds with the people of the Iron Wolf tribe. After all, their guardian totems were different, which meant that their beliefs were different. The conflict between the two sides had been going on for a long time. "So it's you from the Iron Tiger tribe. Please forgive me for not coming out to greet you. What brings you here today?" The tribe elder's heart sank. He knew something bad had happened. "Of course we are here for the triennial martial arts competition. The Golden Crow tribe, the Iron Tiger tribe, the Iron Wolf tribe, and the Golden Snake tribe. The triennial martial arts competition is about to start. This year, it is my Iron Tiger tribe's turn to host. I specially came to ask Elder Tai to draft a list of names so that I can submit it." The Iron Tiger tribe's elder, Hukuin, said with a smile. "Isn't there still 2 months before it starts?" The clan elder frowned and asked. "Haha, I am sorry. I forgot to inform you. After the Golden Crow tribe, the Golden Snake tribe, and my Iron Tiger tribe's discussion, it has been brought forward by 2 months." Hukuin's voice was like a large bell. His eyes flashed with disdain as he said indifferently, "In fact, the Iron Wolf tribe has been at the bottom for the past few decades. It is the same whether we prepare or not. Why does Elder Tai have to worry about when it will start?" The Iron Wolf tribe's people were furious. The martial arts competition was made up of 4 tribes. They had actually brought forward the competition and did not inform the Iron Wolf tribe. The clan elder frowned. The Golden Crow tribe, the Iron Tiger tribe, and the Golden Snake tribe were the strongest tribes within 100 li radius. They had always been arrogant, but this time, they had gone too far. "The time is set to 3 days later. You guys draw up a name list and let me bring it back," Hukuin said arrogantly. The clan elder took a deep breath. After all, an arm could not win against a leg. At this time, he could only endure. Tai Feng, write down the names of Zifei, Tai Lang, Tai Chue, Tai Jin, and Tai Mu and give them to Elder Hu Kuan. The clan elder said coldly. Yo, the Iron Wolf tribe still can't gather 10 people to participate this year? Every year, the individual team is always at the bottom. I think there is no need for them to participate next time. A young man behind Hu Kuan mocked with disdain. What did you say? Hu Ku, this year I will beat you until you look for your teeth on the ground. Zifei, scolded coldly. 3 years ago, you were still a little brat. I am already one of the top 10 experts of the younger generation. This year, you want to beat me until I look for my teeth on the ground? All right, I will accompany you anytime. Hu Ku said disdainfully. Tai Lang also glared at the young men behind Hu Kuan. Looking at their provocative gazes, he wanted to explode and stab them with his dagger. Hu Kuan pretended not to see the provocation of the children behind him. With a flash of light, he said, Elder Tai, this time the Iron Wolf tribe obtained a 6th rank elixir. Why don't you use it as a reward? It can also motivate the fighting spirit of the young people within 100 li radius. I believe Elder Tai will definitely not disappoint me. When I return, I will definitely ask the Golden Crow Upper Clan for a reward. The clan elder and the other members of the Iron Wolf tribe were furious. In the past, the most rewards were 4th rank weapons or pills. Only the Golden Crow Upper Clan would give out 5th rank pills. What right did the Iron Wolf tribe have to give out a 6th rank elixir? However, before the clan elder could reply, Hu Kuan took the name list and left with a few disciples, not giving them the chance to refuse at all. If this was reported to the Golden Crow Upper Clan, then it would be an ironclad matter. Offending the Golden Crow Upper Clan, even if it was a side branch, was not something that the Iron Wolf tribe could withstand. Yi Qinghan smiled slightly. This kind of thing was very normal. It could be seen everywhere. Different clans would always have competition. Suppressing one's opponent was something humans loved to do the most. Zifei's expression was ugly. She felt that she had caused trouble. She could not help but look at Yi Qinghan, hoping that he could come up with a foolproof plan. It's fine as a reward. Don't tell me you don't have the confidence to get first place? Yi Qinghan indifferently replied. The Golden Crow Upper Clan, Iron Tiger Tribe, and Golden Snake Tribe all have great revered experts in their younger generation. We have always had. Zifei bitterly smiled. In 3 days, no matter how strong she was, it was impossible for her to win against a great revered expert. It doesn't matter. We will know in 3 days. Go back and eat, then continue cultivating at night. Yi Qinghan disdained. If the disciples he had personally trained could not win against a great revered expert, then they might as well smash their heads into a wall and die. What was the point of seeking revenge? After dinner, the clan elder brought Tai Jin, Tai Mu, and Tai Chue over. Senior, I wonder if you can train the 3 of them a little? Perhaps they can all enter the preliminaries. The clan elder respectfully said. Then they can all come together. It's fine as long as they can endure. If they can't, then I won't help them. Yi Qinghan was indifferent. Training 1 was training, training 2 was also training. Helping them could be considered repaying their kindness. The group of people arrived at the martial arts arena. The parrot and fire crow especially gave Zifei and her brother more food. That kind of suffering was not something an ordinary person could endure. Tai Zhen and the others felt their hair stand on end. Yi Qinghan proceeded step by step. Starting from 10 times the gravity, he tempered their bodies and strength. The 5 of them ran with all their might on the martial arts arena while carrying large rocks. No one wanted to fall behind. Even so, the parrot and fire crow still breathed fire and chased after them. Often, the fire would burn their butts, and their screams would resound throughout the tribe, attracting the attention of the crowd. The group of children were treated as iron-blooded men by the parrot and fire crow. They were severely ravaged. Tai Zhen and the other children's parents felt their hearts ache as they watched. This time, Yi Qinghan had people bring 2 buckets of water. 1 bucket was filled with the blood essence of the god-slaying eagle, and the other with the blood essence of the fire crow. Both were diluted 1,000 times. They were to be drunk once every 2 hours, and there was only one bowl at a time. The 5 children were drilled like this for 10 hours. Tai Zhen and the others immediately went limp, and Yi Qinghan had their parents bring them back. Only Zifei and her younger brother remained where they were. I will teach you a set of secret footwork technique, the extreme divine dragon steps. If you can cultivate it to the small success stage, I can guarantee you the championship. Yi Qinghan pointed at the void and passed the secret technique of the extreme divine dragon steps to the 2 of them. Time was tight, so he even gave them his own cultivation experience, allowing Zifei and Tai Zhen to cultivate with twice the result with half the effort. The 2 of them cultivated with all their might on the martial arts arena. Their speed was so fast that they almost left the ground and flew. Xiao xiao xiao, the dagger was integrated into the heavenly dragon coiling eagle hands. With the support of the extreme divine dragon steps, its speed was even faster and its combat strength was even stronger. As long as there was enough time, it would be easy to jump ranks and kill people. 6 hours later, the sky was already bright. Zifei and Tai Lang had not rested for the entire night. Although they were tired, they were even more excited. Yi Qinghan woke up from his meditation and whispered, "Divine bird, teach them tactics. Teach them how to kill people silently. I believe you are the best at this." Ahem. The parrot was embarrassed. Yi Qinghan's words were definitely calling it the most shameless. However, it was also a compliment. The parrot automatically filtered the words and only chose the best ones. "No problem. Leave it to me. As long as it is not an expert from the immortal sex, I can kill them instantly." The parrot promised. After Hu Kun returned, he immediately went to the Golden Crow upper clan. This was a branch of the Golden Crow clan. They were very strong and had an expert in the peak stage of the divine martial realm. The Golden Crow clan was a very ancient clan. They had the Golden Crow as their guardian totem. This clan was the strongest in the Eastern Barren continent. A single branch of the clan could wipe out an entire region. If they were the main clan, they could even take over the top 10 clans. The Golden Crow Lion was a branch elder of the Golden Crow clan. He was in charge of external affairs. This person had a pair of shiny black eyes. His cultivation was extremely high. He was already an expert in the early stage of the divine martial realm. He dominated a region. Even the bandits of the Eastern Cloud stronghold had to give him some face. Taoist Lion, I have already brought the name list. Also, I know that the Iron Wolf tribe has obtained a 6th grade medicinal herb. They are also willing to contribute to the younger generation within a few 100 miles. They will take it out as the reward for the first place. What do you think? Hu Kun smiled and said faintly. The Golden Crow Lion was stunned. A 6th grade medicinal herb was priceless. Even he would be greedy for it. However, the Iron Wolf tribe did not keep it. Instead, they agreed to take it out as the reward. Looking at Hu Kun's expression, he knew what was going on. However, he did not expose him. After all, the first place would definitely belong to the Golden Crow clan. Thank you, Taoist Hu Kun. Let's talk in the living room. The Golden Crow Lion's expression was serious. He was not happy because of a 6th grade medicinal herb. It seemed like something big was going to happen. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.